The Rogue Room appreciates your recommendation.
I need to remind myself to use my stream markers tonight. Somebody punch me if I don't. Actually strongly considering assigning an editor, because editors can add stream markers. I'm not sure why you're awake either. But I appreciate you being here so much. Is this going to turn my mic off? No, it's not. Okay, cool. My stream deck. For those of you who are unaware, before we get into things, we'll get into social media in a second. I'll turn that off for now. Hello everyone, welcome to Up Late with Rogue Bitch. Or Rogue Up Late. Was it Up Late with... I think I set it to Up Late with Rogue. I'm going to do a logo. Don't worry, there'll be a logo soon. It'll be like... I think I'm going to do like... I'm going to try. Okay, I'm going to try. Cursive neon pixel art. Fancy shit. Alright, anyway. I didn't adjust the volume of the music because it seemed like it was at a pretty solid volume yesterday, which it's at now like 45-ish% on Spotify. And I had it set to that throughout the whole intro, so this is the volume of the music we're going to be listening to tonight. Welcome in everybody, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you ever so kindly. I hope you're well, I hope you're doing good. Got a few topics that I wanted to cover tonight, a few things I wanted to talk about, and quite frankly, you've kind of just skewed us straight into the first one. Social media. Which is rather relevant, I suppose, when it comes to, for example, talking about the queer identity situation. But that was not the main focus. Of course, queer identity is not the main focus. However, but on the subject, yes, there is a very weird situation when it comes to... I don't know why this is. You may have heard of an anti-trans community called LGB without the T. Right? That's alright, Fox. I don't mind if you... Oh, you know what? Let's stream marker it. To start us off, chuck a stream marker in. Okay, you may have heard. And like, yeah, I don't mind if you fall asleep. It's all good. Just chill out to the sultry, dulcet tones of my voice. You may have heard. Hello, Tattoo Boy. How you doing? Of a... Oh, fuck's sake. I keep forgetting to bring water. The coffee counts. It's a cappuccino, so it doesn't really count. But I will say black coffee, one teaspoon.
Welcome to the Rogue Room.
Welcome to the Rogue Room, Tattoo Boy.
We hope you enjoy your stay.
We hope you enjoy your stay. Sit down, grab a drink, chill out, hang out with us. Hope you're having a bloody good one. You may have heard, yes, you may have heard of, since we were talking about the queer thing before we started the stream even, LGB, or LGB without the T, right? This is I believe this was a subreddit. Let me have a look really quickly. Let me just verify. Was it a Reddit? You know what? I think I actually did I think I used it. Oh yeah, it has been banned. Has been banned from Reddit. Okay. And the general consensus of LGB without the T, as the name implies, it was supposed to be lesbian, gay, and bi without trans. So they were trying to exclude trans people. Oh, hold on a moment, guys. Hold on a second. I'm going to have to put you on Be Right Back. Give me a sec. Don't worry, no ads for this one. Alright, I'm here again. I'm back. Hello. Was it sexuality only? No gender allowed club. Yes, that was right. We're here again. Sorry about that. Yeah, you get to learn stuff. Yeah, not good stuff. If I might throw that out there, it's not good shit to learn. It's kind of unfortunate. It's kind of upsetting. But there was a subreddit for a while called LGB without the T. I can't remember why there was an article I was reading. I can't exactly remember why I was reading the article. It was relating to something else. What up, OT Edsneck? How's it going? What's hanging? What's hanging? How's it hanging? But there is this article. It's time for... Oh, yeah, this is right. Oh, I remember they're reading this. That's... Okay. This is kind of very indicative of what I'm talking about. This is an article written by someone. I don't know when I read this. But this is one of those trans-exclusionary kind of things. And this does factor into the social media discussion we are having. Social media and how it influences us and how the way we behave online and off is kind of the main topic to start us off tonight. It's a turf thing. It's basically a big old transphobe thing. Because they believe that gender identity and sexuality should be separated, and quite frankly, the reason gender identity and sexuality are so conflated, in my personal opinion, is because we're all very marginalized. There's so few of us, and we all need to band together in one big group. And when they pull shit like this, which spreads like wildfire, especially if somebody has a lot of influence, that can have a pretty significant impact on how people are thinking and reacting. Like, even if you just say, oh, the fuck are people doing? There's some noise outside. Even if you were to just say, you know, you'd like to have a community that's just about talking about your sexuality, just about talking about who you're attracted to or whatever, fine, okay. But the point of the matter is, it's never just about that with these people. It's never just about oh, we just want a place to talk about sexuality. No, it's never about that. It's about explicitly excluding trans people, and in a lot of circumstances, these kinds of people here are looking for an excuse to write a lengthy thread about a negative experience they may have had with a trans person, and more often than not, I dare say they're making it up. Or they're having these thoughts of questioning trans people based on the actions of one bad trans person. I had a news article crop up on my Facebook feed today, and this is another thing about the social media thing, right? So many people were making the obvious jokes about trans folks. There was something about non-binary, being able to label your child as non-binary on their birth certificate or something like that. I forget exactly what the circumstance was there. Which is fine, quite frankly. I'm not at all against the idea of people marking their child and raising their child as non-binary. More power to them. If they want to do that, it's fine. And if the child decides that, for example, the gender they would otherwise be assigned at birth turns out to be the one that they align with, fine. You know, this is a great thing about identity. You've genuinely seen sexuality on these subreddits and trans subreddits be separate and shout each other out and stuff, and that is fine. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, totally. Totally fine. People like that really, yeah, it's always the same. Attack helicopter. I identify as a gorilla. All this shit. It's stupid. What next? Are they gonna... and the thing that really irritates me, especially when it comes to trans... And, like, they do this with gay people as well, but it seems like because trans is the hot topic of the queer community right now, trans... issues are more prominent right now. Trans people, non-binary people, etc. What was I going to say? Fuck. Oh, they have this thing. We talked about the pedophile thing, right? We talked about how they love to conflate us with pedophiles, and they've done this with gay people in the past. They've done this with lesbians in the past. Pedophiles and rapists, they like to conflate us with, because there, may have been one incident at one time in the past where one trans person or one gay person was a vile, sick individual. But how many more of those vile, sick individuals are cis straight white men, for example? Or cis straight white women? I keep bringing up the white. The race doesn't matter. How many more of those exact kind of offenders are cis and straight? Generally speaking. But they always tend to nitpick. And this has an effect on other people in the social media setting. If they're constantly seeing these comment threads, if they're constantly being exposed to this situation where the content they're seeing on Reddit or on Twitter or on Facebook or on Instagram even Even if it's something they're not necessarily that invested in, it can sway them. And this is the problem with people who are fence sitting on an issue, right? All it takes is a little bit of a push in a certain direction, and all of a sudden they're in one yard instead of the other. So that's my goal, personally. That would be one of the goals I have as a streamer, is to find those fence sitters and say, okay, come over to my yard, where it's a little bit more accepting, a little bit more safe, a little bit more open. And yeah, there's a lot of this kind of, like, the reason we see the same jokes over and over again, the reason we see the same iterations of the same commentary in all these different social media sites. And of course that carries over to real life. I've heard the helicopter joke in real life multiple times. I've heard similar commentaries in real life multiple times. And the reason it carries over is because social media is this addictive thing that allows you to easily parrot certain viewpoints. And the reason it works, you could say this shit all the live long day. But the reason people say it is that little like button on most of these social media websites, on Facebook, on Twitter, anywhere, on Reddit, you get upvotes. It's that addiction of, okay, I saw somebody else get likes for posting this thing. If I just steal their post and I repost it, I comment it somewhere else, I'll get those same likes as well. And then if you find a group of people who identify with those same ideas, and you start spreading that same rhetoric again, around and around, again and again, and you start racking up your invisible social media points that don't pay you money, unlike Twitch subs. Can we hit 5 subs today? If you, what was I going to say? Oh, fuck, I've lost my train of thought. The invisible points of social media. It's not the be-all, end-all of it. But getting likes, getting shares, getting comments, even getting negative comments. Even if you go into, and it's always, for some reason, the Sydney Morning Herald always shows up on my Facebook. A right-wing publication that I have no interest in, but they always show up in advertisements sponsored on my Facebook feed. And I make the mistake of sometimes commenting on them because I see all of these ignorant fuckwits. And sometimes it genuinely makes me want... Like, one time, I responded to somebody who made a comment that was completely out of left field, relating to trans people, of course. Completely irrelevant, based on no facts whatsoever, and I'm just like, do you have any science to back that up? They didn't respond. Of course they didn't. So, like, why waste your time? But the thing is, the ones that issue, it's not the word. The ones that incite some kind of anger or negative response usually do pretty well. People like outrage. People like being pissed off on social media. People like getting into an argument. And then, you know why they like getting into an argument? Then they go to morning tea with their friends, or they go on Messenger, or they go on wherever, or they go on their own personal Facebook page. And they'll post about it. They'll get into an argument with people on Facebook, and then they'll go tell their colleagues at the break room. So the stuff that we do on social media, of course, extends into real life. And then you have this, especially if you feel like you won an online debate. And really, realistically speaking, in a Facebook comment section, there are no winners. Don't identify as an olive drab attack helicopter with a shark face on the front. I identify as a pink helicopter with bows and confetti. Do the machine guns shoot the confetti? Because that would be great. As long as they're like shrapnel confetti that tears transphobes to pieces. That'd be great. There was actually a graphic I saw today that that was the difference between having shrapnel go through your body, go through like your kneecap, versus a bullet going through the same spot. It was quite shocking to see the difference in damage. It was an illustration, of course. Kind of startling to see how different it is. Understandably so, though. You know, shrapnel is pretty bad, pretty freaking bad, I would dare say. But yeah, I personally identify as sick of their transphobic bullshit as well. And yeah, the reality is right now, transphobia is this really trendy thing. And I'm beginning to wonder, like, is it a sign that it's on its way out? Because while we do have, of course, lots of transphobic commentators right now, that same kind of thing did kind of spell not the end of homophobia, but when homophobia was kind of the biggest, when like gay marriage, for example, was the big hot button topic. It was tons of pundits. It was tons of pundits who are saying the exact same things right now. Is they're using the same old trite arguments against gay people, the same old they're destroying our sanctity of marriage and all of that kind of thing. I mean, trans marriage isn't really a big deal right now, but just trans identity right now is a big deal. And you'll see a lot of the same talking points. Media devils created to distract from real world problems. Yes, exactly. There's that too. There's that factor of it. But the issue was, of course, for a long time, as of like 2000 onwards, I would say, there was a huge push towards more normalization of gay people. And now it definitely feels like, in my personal opinion, I haven't seen a ton of homophobia aside from, like, in the media. I haven't seen a ton of homophobia in the media. Feels like transphobia is the hot button topic in the queer space right now. And as a result, they're getting the majority of the attention. Which is a good thing and a bad thing in my opinion, because it could eventually lead to normalization on a broader scale. And there are, of course, many commentators who have got influence who are saying, leave trans people alone, they're not hurting you, and all of this kind of thing. You're gender fluid, welcome the fan. Welcome in, gender fluid friend. I hope you're having a good time. How are you doing this evening? But yeah, social media and indeed punditry is definitely one of those things created as a distraction from real world issues. It's hard to deny that. It's hard to deny that the whole social media situation and getting everybody riled up about this, that, and the other is a perfect way to distract from the real issues in the world, and there are a lot of those. There are a lot of real issues in the world that people would rather get pissed off about something easy and accessible and be able to argue over that with their co-workers and their friends and family and all of that. They'd like to be able to get ticked off about something that really has no consequence in the grand scheme of things. Like, if you decide, and of course I'm going to keep relating this back to trans issues because I am a trans person, but if you decide you really want to get riled up over the fact that trans people exist, as a cis person, for example, if you decide you really want to get upset over the... I don't like to bring this up, I hate this topic, I really do hate this topic, but the trans women in sports thing, if you decide to get riled up over that, that's a non-issue. It is such a non-issue. There aren't, like, for example, they like to say, what do you think about trans women in the Olympics? It's like, trans women aren't in the Olympics. Trans men aren't in the Olympics. Trans people are not in the Olympics. The Olympics isn't even on. Weren't we supposed to have the Olympics last year, 2020? Did it happen? I don't think it did. If it did, I forget. I don't remember it. Because there was a pandemic on. Fairly certain they postponed it. I don't know. Girl, what's up, Kez? How's it going? Easier to get over simple things than to actually get into the deep water of real systemic problems. That's the main takeaway. Is it like it's really, really easy for social media to get you furious about shit that makes no consequence on your life? Shit that has no effect on you whatsoever. Sorry. Meanwhile, you've got people in Parliament who are constantly making like political decisions that you're not hearing about. How often do you actually hear about what's going on in actual politics? Aside from American politics, I scarcely know what's happening in Australian politics. I'd have to go out of my way to find information on that. And the reason is because if you go on social media, and a lot of us do, a lot of us are inherently addicted to it, effectively, we get distracted by seeing those news articles or seeing those meme pages or seeing this and that and the other. It's like we're constantly thrown a barrage of distractions, and then you've got, of course, television and movies and music and all of these other things on top of social media. Social media is just the latest in a great big wave of distractions from the real issues. And a lot of, like, there are very few people who end up caring about the real issues. The people who actually give a shit about the actual things going on in the world are in the vast minority, I would dare say. Because the rest of people, and this is a rather privileged thing in its own way, get to just ignore it. There are a lot of people who do not have a marginalized lifestyle, and they get to live what would otherwise be considered a normal life, quote unquote. They get to go to work, come home to their family, maybe do something fun on the weekends. Have they got kids? Maybe they've got kids. They just, like, and then they go on social media and they might have some biases that get reconfirmed by algorithms. And then they go and they parrot what the algorithm has told them to their co-workers at work, to their friends at their social gatherings that they go to, which some people still do, even amidst a pandemic. Maybe they go onto a Discord call. I don't know. What do people do these days to socialize? Just eating chocolate. What kind of chocolate are you eating? What kind of I'm really, lately, heavily into 85% dark chocolate. It is very, very rich. And it is glorious. I love it. Absolutely love it. The wrestling community was up in arms a few months ago because a trans woman got a shot at the women's titles. Like, how does this affect your fake sport? Was that AEW? Or one of those other... Yeah, like, wrestling is scripted. Intergender wrestling shouldn't be a big thing because it's fucking scripted. Who honestly the fuck cares? Who honestly the fuck cares? Can't eat dark chocolate because caffeine. Oh yeah, there's caffeine in it, isn't there? Nyla Rose. Let me have a look. Oh, yep. I remember her. She's a powerhouse. God damn. And it's so ridiculous. Especially. It's so ridiculous, especially in wrestling. In fake wrestling. There's no such thing as real wrestling. Real wrestling, quote unquote, is something that happens in American high schools. And then there's no sport beyond that. If there is, it's like a regional thing. It's like you can go to a regional wrestling event on the mat in the middle of a gymnasium. Kind of like when people go into karate. They do karate tournaments. And there's like 20 guys. That's it. The winning prize is like $50. They do a kata demonstration. Like, it's not a real sport. It is, but it isn't. You know what I mean? Wrestling is an Olympic sport. Well, at a high competitive level. I lost my ability to speak for a second. Go to your local Trader Joe's, get a pound bar of Belgian milk chocolate. Just break off a small piece every day. That sounds dangerous. The way I've been buying it recently is, but yeah, like, what I mean to say is, of course, like, wrestling is actually a real sport. But the majority of people, if you say wrestling, the first thing that comes to mind is Vince McMahon. You know, the first thing that comes to mind is that squared circle situation. Big gaudy title belts, John Cena, The Rock, Steve Austin, those kinds of people. Not proper professional wrestlers. Pro wrestling, yeah. Sports entertainment. And that's another thing too. It's like the definition of wrestling has been changed by social discourse. Not social media, but it is in the same space. It is in the same kind of vein as social media. Like our influence, the way we consider something. The idea has been changed by an early form of social media. Talking to each other. Word of mouth. Which social media has just exacerbated. And that's why it feels to me, personally, that everything's moving too damn fast. I do distinctly remember a time before social media, and things were a lot... And I mean, I was a child. Give me a break, alright? When you're a child, when you're young... It can sometimes feel like time is taking forever to pass. And yet, at the same time, it can feel like time's going too fast. And nowadays, with the way that social media is so prominent in the way that we consume our information, it feels as though everything's moving too quickly. Like, I'll go onto Twitter tomorrow. Who knows what the fuck I'm going to see on Twitter or Facebook or whatever? Who knows? I have no clue. But I know it's going to be some other wacky hijinks. Something's gonna be trending. Please not Belle Delphine again. That whole thing with Belle Delphine has me like... Anyway. Pro wrestling, not that amateur Olympic stuff that requires years of dedication. Yeah, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, pro wrestling does require years of dedication to get to any successful point in a professional wrestling organization, in one that is televised, in one that is, One that is well known, has billions of dollars behind it. Oh, she didn't just post something kinky, she posted something rapey. That was what the problem was. I'd rather just avoid her existence. What it potentially says, the message it sends is pretty negative. And yeah, she knows how to get on people's nerves for sure. She's a very good marketer.
Welcome
Chevy!
back, supporter of the cause.
I'm sorry, I don't know why
Hello,
this alert
gorgeous.
is not pixelated, but thank you for calling me gorgeous. How are you, gorgeous? How's it going? Thank you so kindly for dropping that sub on me. It didn't update the sub goal. Update your sub goal, you stupid fuck. How you doing? Welcome in. Don't do it. Don't do what? It's essentially physical soap opera. Yeah. There it goes. 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5. Can we get to 5 subs tonight? Probably not. That's my favorite definition of wrestling is men's soap opera. It's exactly what it is. It's men's soap opera. Oh, it's great. I know, obviously girls can watch, like, guys, gals, and non-binary pals can enjoy wrestling all the same. But yeah, I'd rather watch AEW than Neighbors for sure. Good morning, Zug. How's it going? Neighbors is still going. Neighbors doesn't stop. It's gonna take so long. How much? You've got a lot of hair, don't you? You got a ton of hair. I can't wait to see the result. I guarantee you will look big cute. How's it going, Sanzi? Welcome in. What's the hangs? What's the haps? So yeah, we are talking. I've kind of covered like virtually everything I want to say about social media, but I'm not quite sure. I'm sure there's more I can add to this. Like, I'm sorry, I punched the microphone again. I need a better microphone. This one's a bit dodge. I was going through my stream VOD earlier. Later? I was going through it later. I was going through it earlier, and I noticed like my microphone peaks quite a lot. And I'd rather get. Unfortunately, the mic I would like to get is not only $800, but it's one of those. I forget what kind of mic it is, but I would need an extension to actually connect it to my PC. But the audio fidelity would be ridiculously good. A Shure SM7B is what I want next. Yeah, that's the one. Literally as I said it, Zug. Literally as I said it, yes. That's the one I want. I forget what kind of microphone it is. Condenser mic? Is that it? But yeah, it's $800 in Australia. And then you would need the plug to actually connect it to the computer. And on top of that, probably the thing with all the buttons on it that you can do special effects with. Scream vocals, there we go. You have so much hair. You had to use both bottles and went through so much of the bleach. Oh my goodness. Do I have any compressor programs? I've only got filters in OBS on my microphone. I've got a noise gate and noise suppressor. She's trying to get attention. There's the crap she pulled. It worked though. Like again, she's trending on Twitter as a result of it. It worked, and this is the unfortunate reality of people like her. Yeah, she knows how to get an audience. She knows how to get people paying attention to her, and it was very creepy and very rapey what she did, and she's gonna face no consequences for it, other than people knowing she exists. So who cares? I'm gonna try to avoid her in general. She's irksome. I don't know. She definitely strikes me as another you know who's also kind of problematic in the porn star community is that the one that everybody loves. The one that Riley Reid. She's pretty gross for numerous reasons that are more relating to actual things she's actually done. Is she a TERF? I don't know. She might be. Yeah. It's plain narcissism, most likely. But the gross part is using that controversy to market herself. Yeah. And the unfortunate reality is, like I've mentioned this in an upcoming video, right? Is this kind of stuff works, and this is still tied into social media. Is like this kind of stuff. The reason that Belle Delphine is trending is because she did something disgusting and despicable. She represented, rape, kidnapping. Some are saying pedophilia is also represented. I haven't looked at the content. I'm not going to. But the fact of the matter is the controversy she has generated got her on the trending page on Twitter. So people are paying attention to her as a result of that. But yeah, you're right. People could get hurt by what she's done. Normalizing that kind of behavior. And the sad reality is people just let it go along. I'm fidgeting with blue tack. Allows you to stick things together. It's become one of my favorite fidget toys at the moment. Yeah, the unfortunate reality. Can I say this word on Twitch? There was a video recently. I'm gonna say it anyway. There was a video recently by Steven Crowder. Because Steven Crowder's a bad person. Steven Crowder is an alt-right chud. He's an idiot. And he also chickened out of a debate with... forgot what his name was. He chickened out of a debate with someone. He's an edgelord. And he knows the edgelord formula works very well for him. I've never done vocals. Are you talking to me? I've never done vocals in my life. I'm not a musician. I'm a guitarist, or an attempted guitarist. But anyway. Vibing big time with my hair accessories. I love my hair accessories. This is my thing at the moment. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. But anyway, Steven Crowder is an edgelord who's got a big following, and he posted a video to his Twitter a little while back. I think I referenced this video in my latest video, which is coming out soon. It's nearly done. It's 90% done. He made a parody of that crying Indian commercial. Let me look that up really quickly. Crying Indian commercial. You know what he said in that commercial? It was from the 70s. It was a PSA about pollution, if I'm not mistaken. Keep America beautiful and all this sort of stuff. And he does a piss take, and he's done up in full Indian garb. Completely taking the piss. You know how he ends the video? Faggots created liberalism. Right, that's what he says in the video. That's what he says. And he knows he can get away with just pointing the finger at queer people, calling them a slur outright, not censored, by the way. Calling them a slur outright in a produced video piece. And he knows people are going to get pissed at him for it, and they're going to give him more attention and thus more money. It's going to drive more people to him. And people are going to defend it. This is the thing, people are going to defend his usage of that word. That's going to get me banned on Twitch, isn't it? I'm pushing my luck here. I'm trying to be one of these people, but on a left-handed slant of things. That's what these kind of people do, and this is what another certain streamer did, who I'm going to vaguely reference, and if you are at all savvy in the streamer community, you know who I'm talking about. Is that this idea of what was I going to say? This idea of using the foundation of other people's outrage to grow your own social media base. And that's what Belle Delphine has done. I don't even know what it is exactly she did to get a following in the first place, other than be hot petite chick. It didn't really strike me that she was doing a whole lot in the edgy space until relatively recently. Memes? Yeah, I mean, the Gamer Girl bathwater thing was a pretty big meme, wasn't it? And then, over time, I think she's gone heavier and heavier into that edgy persona. Like, she came out with that music video that was heavily sexualized, which is highly, highly amusing, because that video, quite honestly, compared to some other music videos, some, like, professional music videos by actual musicians, because she's not a musician, that song was made for her by someone else. I think it was made by whoever made Nico Lol's OK Boomer song. So whoever that person was did the song for Belle Delphine, she just did the music video for it. And that video is really, quite honestly, tame compared to some mainstream videos that I've seen. Did you watch the video for WAP? I've seen it. They play it in my gym sometimes. And I'm like, YouTube banned Belle Delphine's video. Probably, I mean, I'll give him this. I will say it's probably because of the OnlyFans plug, but it still speaks to the idea of, like, why is WAP allowed on your platform to have... Hang on. Let me just look really quickly. I'm gonna mute the site so it doesn't play the audio. 326 million views. This video has 326 million views. I think Belle Delphine's video had like 4 million when it got banned. Not a lot. But still, both videos with a heavy sexualized theme to them. And there's nothing wrong with that. I have no issue with sexualized content being on YouTube. But YouTube can make that decision for themselves. Hell, I have no problem with sexualized content being on Twitch as long as it's marked properly, as mature, and people aren't outright fisting themselves. I am totally, like, I'm very, very sex positive. I have no issue with people on this platform sitting here playing video games in their underwear if they feel like it. Go ahead, dude. But of course, Twitch is going to say no to that. Can you imagine if there was a buff, like ripped, cut male stripper who was wearing like sparkly, glittery, skin-tight shorts, and that was all he was wearing? And every time he got a sub, he'd go to the stripper pole behind him and do a spin. That'd be fine if I ran Twitch. As long as you're not outright shoving dildos up your ass on stream. Like that girl who got a 3-day suspension for flashing her entire... Like, you could see straight through her. Got a 3-day suspension for it. Meanwhile, another streamer got an indefinite suspension, which is being lifted today or tomorrow, after who knows how many weeks, for body painting. She was doing body painting following all the terms of service and got banned. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. Save the outright porn sites for the sites that are marketed as such, yes. Makes you think of wireless access protocol. Now I'm going to think of that. She made Ahegao popular, did she? The Japanese style of look was part of Delphine's recipe. That I didn't know. I thought she just mimicked it. It was Delight Danny. And there was also, I think, AF Kate or someone else was banned on Twitch for body painting. Again, following the TOS to the letter. Got banned off the platform for having big tits, basically. As far as I know, the other one that I'm thinking of never got let back on the platform. Or was it not Fork My Life? No. There was someone else who got banned and did not get let back on the platform for body painting. Velvet 7? No, not Velvet 7. Azera Radio, have a good one. I'll be sure to get the VOD up on the alternate YouTube channel as soon as possible. Why is there something instead of nothing? What do you mean, Spaz? Got banned for having tits. She got banned repeatedly. She got banned repeatedly on the platform. They'd ban her, and then they'd let her back on, and then they'd ban her again. Repeatedly. And then she'd go and do like a sob story kind of thing. Look at people like Amaranth, again, same thing. Amaranth has only received suspensions infrequently for doing stuff that goes a bit too far. Alinity had the nip slip situation, had to suspend herself. She took a 3-day sabbatical, and then Twitch issued a 24-hour ban on her account. After Alinity herself said, I'm going to take a 3-day suspension voluntarily, did Twitch actually step in. She doesn't deserve... Yeah, Velvet 7 doesn't deserve to be banned. So it's clear, whatever's going on at Twitch's TOS, whatever's going on at Twitch's staff, sorry, Twitch is a mess. Twitch's staff is a mess. It absolutely is. And they have no incentive to change it because it's not losing them money at this point. Or rather, their incentive is make more money. And as a result, they don't care to enforce the rules fairly or in any sort of balanced way. You know. Not sure the Twitch staff know what the rules are, which is amusing because every few months they issue a statement saying, oh, we're updating the terms of service, we're updating the rules. This is how things are going to go from now on. Simp, incel, and virgin are now banned. You can't harass people with those words. Do you think people are going to notice? Has anyone copped flack for using simp, incel, and virgin? Whatever. Who knows? Twitch is incompetent at enforcing their own rule set. It annoys the hell out of me. They go to where the complaints are the loudest. That's probably true. They banned Minx for saying the words. Did she just say them, or did she actually use them? Because the context, the reason that they banned those words, the specific reason that you should be copping any suspension is if you use them to target somebody and harass them with those words. That's what they said was going to be in the terms of service, is You will get banned if you target another streamer and call them an incel, for example, because it's an attack on their perceived sexuality or something. It's an attack on their perceived sexual behaviors or proclivities, and that's against the terms of service. That's against the rules, and that's what they don't want. She calls her fans out sometimes as a joke, and yeah, Twitch. You think Twitch staff knows that? Twitch TOS. Twitch TOS. We'll continue to talk about this. Stream marker. I am not going to talk about the WAP video any longer. No, we've already touched on it. And I'm not going to bring it up on stream either, because DMCA. For obvious reasons. I actually got a copyright ID claim on the video we did when we came back on the 10th. Where I was reacting to that Stephen Colbert video about the situation at Capitol Hill. I had to actually go into YouTube and say, cut that section out. Which is, it's just a VOD. But at the same time, it's like, I want people to see the rest of the VOD if they want to. Because it was blocked. The video was unable to be watched by anyone. Because of that 10-20 minutes where we were reacting to Colbert. Still waiting on a response about PRS licenses and the DMCA stuff. What's the PRS licenses? I'm not sure on that one. Because I know the DMCA stuff is ongoing. I haven't heard anything about it recently. Performing Rights Society, okay. Do you have any links to anything about that? Because I am curious now. I am curious. Because I feel like I know that name, the PRS, the Performing Rights Society. I feel like I know that, but I'm not sure about the details. But that does invoke thoughts of, like, musicians who do covers on their streams for donations, for tips. Not donations. Donations are for charity, tips are for performers. There's a distinction there. Because you're registered as a musician and you have your personal license, you can technically run a business and play radio music without fear of copyright infringement. Does that count for Twitch, though? That would be interesting to note. That would be interesting to see. And I'm curious about how the DMCA stuff affects video game music. Because I know there are a few musicians on Twitch who specifically play covers of video game music. That's what they're not answering, okay. Well, that's unfortunate. PRS is UK based, and to be honest, Twitch don't care about anything legal outside the US. True. True. And that's the unfortunate thing about Twitch, is it's such a broad international company, and there's so many people from all over the world using it. Drop a link here, if you got it. And if you are, indeed, of course, if you want to, you can sub, I don't mind. But if you are here and you're enjoying the show, please consider heading over to my Patreon, where you can sign up for a $1, $3, $5, $10, or $100 tier. And at the moment, only the $5 tier actually has any real content, but everything above that gets the content anyway. If you would like a 6-minute preview of my next video, the intro of my next video, if you're interested in supporting the stream, I'll just use this as a moment to plug, because the bot has brought it up. If you would like to support the stream, of course, subscribe if you want to get ad-free viewing and emotes and stuff like that. But for the same price, you can get some content on my Patreon. And I get a larger cut of that, quite frankly. Support a starving artist. I don't know. I'm trying to make that work. I'm trying to get eyes on the paid content as well as the free content. So what do we got? PRS for music. Licenses, using music online, music streaming license. And I've also got a few other things here I would like to talk about in my browser at the moment. Those wishing to live stream via platforms such as Facebook and YouTube should be covered by the existing licensing agreements in place with those platforms. This is a big thing about the DMCA situation, is YouTube and Facebook, and I believe TikTok even has protections for its creators. So you can do content on there and you're not going to face legal recompense. But there are currently no licensing arrangements in place with Twitter or Twitch. Negotiations are currently taking place with both of these companies. Please ensure you follow the terms of use and copyright requirements of each platform. And those wishing to host a live stream via their own website can apply for a limited online music license. In addition, if you operate in the following sectors: religious services, fitness classes, dance and education classes, or other private tuition, we are able to offer additional synchronization rights until June 2021. If you wish to live stream / webcast your service via hosted videos hosted on your own website, FaceTime, Google Hangouts, is that still a thing? Microsoft Teams, Skype, WhatsApp, and Zoom. This is in light of the social distancing measures. My God, I can't read. Introduced by the government during the current COVID-19 pandemic. The additional rights will be added to your standard LOML license for 50% of the value of the original LOML, which is limited online music license, providing you with the flexibility to continue your service in these unprecedented times, and then some pricing. You gotta get a coffee. Could you get me another one? Because this one's not hitting the spot. Good God. Oh my goodness me. Oh my goodness gracious me. I am dying here. This coffee is not hitting it. It's not hitting. Milk and sugar, yeah. I'm trying to go vegan slowly, but I've been failing. I've got a bunch of like light cow's milk, like UHT milk in the little long life containers in the cupboard, so I've got to get through those. Then I've got cheese and all this other stuff, and I'm like, I kind of want to try all the more vegan options, even though they are more expensive. But you know, for now, I'll just drink regular milk. Whatever. Milk, 1 sugar. Cheese is a hard one to let go, it is. Especially considering, like, I've been to the cheese section in the grocery store, and I'm like, I don't see vegan cheese in there. I might need to have a better look, but you can find other vegan options. There's vegan meat substitutes, plant-based options for various things. And of course, you can go and just make vegan stuff. But I would like to get some vegan cheese, because I've tried some at a burger place that does vegan food, and they've got vegan sliced cheese there, and I would like to get my hands on that if I can. Tastes like plastic cheese. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if plastic cheese was vegan. I don't think there's any like organic material in that shit. I think it's literally just I don't even know what it is. Silicone. It's something. It's not cheese. That might be the vegan cheese. It's just plastic cheese. Which, I mean, is not bad, honestly. Fat-free cheese? Yeah. Oof. I don't know if I've tried fat-free. But I imagine it wouldn't taste the nicest. Anyway, we're not really on TOS anymore. We're not really on Twitch Terms of Service anymore. Can we move on to the next topic? Because we kind of went through the whole social media thing. I think I'm kind of done with that. Although, actually, you know what? There's an article here. Let's put another stream marker in really quickly. I'll try to remember to do that all night. Doshal. Will this fit? This won't fit. Nope, that's way too long. Fuck it, let's just stick with social media. Let's bring it back to social media. Hang on. There we go. We'll bring that back over here. There is an article. Not that. That's my overlay. Put that back where it belongs. Thank you very much. An article I found, and I don't know how reliable this site Help Guide is, but having a quick glance at it, it seems pretty good. So we'll just come back to this topic briefly, and then I want to jump ahead to something else. Although this does kind of relate to the next thing that I had listed for a topic. Social media and mental health. While many of us enjoy staying connected on social media, excessive use can fuel feelings of anxiety, depression, isolation, and FOMO, fear of missing out, for anyone who is not aware of what FOMO stands for. I know it took me a while to figure that one out because people would just post FOMO everywhere, and I'm like, what the fuck does FOMO mean? Don't explain yourselves. Also, I hate that I'm looking over there. The screen is there for me. And it would make more sense for me to be looking in this direction. You get what you pay for. Anyway. At this time of... Oh, blah, blah, blah. Who cares about that? The role social media plays in mental health. Human beings are social creatures. We need the companionship of others to thrive in life, and the strength of our connections has a huge impact on our mental health and happiness. Being socially connected to others can ease stress, anxiety, and depression, boost self-worth, provide comfort and joy, prevent loneliness, and even add years to your life. On the flip side, lacking strong social connections can pose a serious risk to your mental and emotional health. You got my coffee, thank you. I could use that. And on this first subject, I've felt like streaming, especially this format where I'm talking to you. Let me fix myself up a little bit here. Let me give myself a little bit more height again. I want to be tall. I want people to see that I'm tall-ish for a chick. This format of just chatting back and forth. Let's have a chit chat. Let's talk to each other. Having people in chat, having people discussing things with me, having people breaking down ideas with me, has been a huge emotional health and mental health boon for me. Has made quite significant strides in what has otherwise been a rather daunting effort in depression and anxiety and the like. I get the feeling, not suspicion, that's not the right word. I get the feeling that having this format where there's a lot of discussion going on and there's people having this back and forth, this rapport that we've got, has been a great, aside from like other things that have helped boost my mental health in a lot of ways, but this in particular, has given me a sense of passion and invigoration in my content creation. You know, I feel like I'm really enjoying this format far more, knowing there's a much more social element than just playing a game for an audience. And I could have an audience of like 90 people playing one game, and nobody would be talking. I've seen that in other people's streams. I've seen people with like tons of viewers, and almost no one is talking because they're just watching the game happen. And I can't imagine how hollow that must feel, to be putting yourself out there, put your face out there in the world, and trying to make that connection, and trying to build some kind of a name for yourself, and nobody's like chiming in. I don't know, it's really bizarre. One habit you're glad you got into is leaving your phone charging in the lounge room when you go to bed. No phone in the room, no temptation to stay on social media all night. That's a good thing. That is a good thing. And I might even steal that idea, although I do need my phone alarm, and I don't want my kids touching my phone, I suppose. In today's world, many of us rely on social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube, and Instagram to find and connect with each other. While each has its benefits, it's important to remember that social media can never be a replacement for real-world human connection. But like we said before, what we do on social media can heavily affect what we do off social media. Where were we? And it requires in-person contact with others to trigger hormones that alleviate stress and make you feel happier, healthier, and more positive. Ironically, for a technology that's designed to bring people closer together, spending too much time engaging with social media can actually make you feel more lonely and isolated and exacerbate mental health problems such as anxiety and depression. I will state right now that is entirely by design. They want people to be anxious and depressed. The people who are running these social media platforms absolutely want you to be anxious and depressed, and as a result, because you get that little boost of endorphins or whatever it is. What's that? Is it endorphins or... That's not it, is it? It's not endorphins. It's serotonin. That's the one. Thank you, Zuck. You get that serotonin hit when you get a bunch of likes on a Twitter post. For example, I posted a fitness selfie today. Where is it? Let's bring this up really quickly. I posted this. I think I can get away with showing this one on stream. Fitness check. Here's me posing. It's 13 likes. It's not too hot, but I like having 13 likes on things, you know? I like people reacting to the stuff I put online. I enjoy that, you know? And a lot of other people do too, and it becomes addictive. You get that quick hit. You upload something, you get some likes on it, and then you feel tempted to upload again to try to continue fueling the experience. You see a mild spark of happiness in the numbers. And then once that mild spark has gone away, it's very, very brief. You try to find that high again, you're constantly seeking it, and as a result, there's a sense of detachment from, I guess, a detachment from reality, because you start to become so enamored. And like, social media can of course become very addictive in that way. Tig, how's it going? Welcome in. How you doing? If you're spending an excessive amount of time on social media and feelings of sadness, dissatisfaction, frustration, or loneliness are impacting your life, it may be time to re-examine your online habits and find a healthier balance. I definitely spend too much time on social media, primarily because I use it as a tool to try to boost my streams and my YouTube content. I'm trying to be a content creator, and social media is a big tool for that. And it's kind of working, especially lately. I've noticed there's a bit of a boost in like just generally speaking, YouTube and Twitch, which again funnels back into that whole feelings of serotonin and all of that. That good feeling. My numbers are going up. My numbers are going up, which could be a positive thing a few years down the line. Could be it could lead to somewhere. That's another thing. Is like there's a lot of people who look at social media who look at influencers and all of that sort of thing, and they get this notion in their head. It's like, I could be famous one day. And I get that. Absolutely, I get that. That idea of, I guess like a lot of people see the streamer or the YouTuber as the new rock star. You know, there was that time period where everyone, or like actors or whatever, people look to those that are famous and millionaires and all of that, and they go out of their way to try to chase that dream. And now it's streamers, and now it's influencers and people like that. They see there's a success there that you can ascertain. Not ascertain. Caps lock is on. Find something out for certain, make sure. That's not the word I wanted. Obtain. We'll go obtain. There is a potential for something. And a lot of people strive for that. Some people are successful, some people are not. Mostly lurk on social media and use it to see what people you know think about things, for better or worse. That sounds like a good idea, honestly. How are you, Rogue? Actually did some numbers between accounts on Twitter with various follow levels from 100 to a few thousand. Unless paid for, no matter what, your engagement on social media generally will never exceed more than 15%. Yeah, that's true too. Especially true of streaming. It's always highly, highly amusing whenever I see somebody, and it's very rarely happened to me. I've seen it more happen to my friends, surprisingly. Somebody might come into chat and make a remark about how someone's got X amount of viewers, but X amount of followers, but only Y amount of viewers. It's like, yo, you've only got 9 viewers and you got 1,000 followers. It's like, do you not understand how this works? There are so many people on this platform. There are so many people on other social media platforms who will follow you and then never interact with you. So many. And they're not bots or anything. They're actual people. And that, again, just fuels into that whole feeling of mild success, that hit you get. You know, your follow account has gone up to a milestone of some sort. And this is why I put no stock whatsoever in milestones of follow accounts. You should never put a milestone on a follow account. Absolutely not. There's no reason to. Because followers can come and go on a whim. On most social media sites, you can make an account without requiring two-factor authentication, which is stupid, by the way. They should require two-factor authentication. It should be harder to make more accounts. But people do it, and people can buy follow bots. What I want, the milestone I want to hit, is higher viewership. You know, I'd like to hit 25 sometime soon. I would like to be averaging 25 per stream. As to how I do that, it seems like what I'm doing is working to a point. I'd like to expand on what I'm doing when it comes to social media. But again, that's chasing that dragon. I managed to work that out for people with up to 10k followers. The thing is, there's so many people you could miss. Would have never found you if someone you followed hadn't liked a post. But that in itself. You got people all around the world in different time zones. Yeah, exactly. And at the moment, I'm experimenting with multiple stream times. So earlier in the week, Sunday through Wednesday, I'm streaming from 6 p.m. till 9 p.m. And this is Up Late with Rogue, where my kids are here, so I can't stream till 9 p.m. So I'm doing 9 p.m. till 12 a.m. And I've found, generally speaking, this past 5 or 6 streams that I've been doing. Well, today would be the 6th stream. It seems like it works. I am in Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So UTC plus 11, if I'm not mistaken. Is that what that is? UTC plus Universal... What is UTC plus 11... Is that correct? Current UT... Is that... I don't know. Is that where that is? Oceania. Yeah, Australia. I'm on the east coast of Australia, basically. Greenwich Mean Time without daylight savings. So yeah, UTC 11 is mine. Yeah.
Welcome
UTC
to
plus
the Rogue
11.
Room. We hope you enjoy your stay.
Silky Shark 420, welcome to the Rogue Room. Sit down, grab a drink, chill out with us. Hope you're having a lovely old time. But yeah, the thing you mentioned about people liking a post. Oh, UTC plus 10 without DST. There you go. Hello, Lee. How's it going? How are you going today? The thing about, the liking the posts thing, and I think that may be a factor of why I have seen some growth on Twitter, is some of my tweets recently have been doing rather well. Especially if I'm commenting, like I tend to be commenting on politics a lot. So as a result, I think people are liking the posts, and because they're getting more likes on them, I believe there's an algorithm on Twitter. More people are seeing them through such and such liked this. And of course, I'm gradually figuring out what works on various social medias. Social mediums. Anywho. But of course, when you become so heavily invested in it, whether that be, you would consider Discord a social media, for example. And I find it a lot harder these days to get actively involved in conversations. Social media platforms, that's a good way to refer to them. Same in the US, PST versus PDT. Yeah. What was I going to say? It's like, I find it hard to get involved in certain Discord servers that I would like to get involved in, because the moment I tune in to the Discord conversations, go to the general chat or whatever, it's been dead for 5 hours. No one said anything. I'm like, why would I say anything if no one's there? Whereas it seems like if I go into a Facebook group, I can make a post and I can leave it and get a bunch of comments and I can go back and review those comments. But if I leave a comment in a Discord, if I bring up a topic and no one's there, and then a bunch of people either come back to the Discord later on and read it, and just either they might respond to it, but I might not see it because several hours later the conversation has rolled on 200 messages. So I got to figure out exactly how to work Discord still. I think I have a vague idea. But that becomes an issue in itself. An issue of relying on social media to try to grow a brand. It becomes such an indentured part of your personality. Such an investment of time and emotional energy that can't have a positive impact. And I worry about taking a break from all forms of social media. I wonder what I would do, quite honestly. I feel like this may be a hyper-focus of mine as an autistic person. Is that, I really want to use every possible tool I can to grow the Rogue Bitch Productions brand, so to speak. Hold on a moment. Don't go away, folks. Hello, hello, I'm back. Oh, that's the wrong one. I haven't used that scene much lately. We'll come back to this one. This is a good one. I honestly need to leave quite a few. I am in quite a few that I never chat in. T-San, I feel like I'm only in because A, I'm a member of the team, and B, there are a bunch of cool people in there that I'm friends with. But yeah, there's a bunch of Discords where I'm like, I never get the chance to actually actively chat in them, and I'm like, why am I in them? I really need to sift through and find the ones that I never converse in any way whatsoever, not even link dropping. Anywho, sorry, I had to rush off and console my daughter and give her my Minecraft plush spider so she would go to sleep. Anyway, if only Discord usage was about connection instead of brand growth. I mean, it can be that. It definitely can be that. And I think that's the idea of all social media, is that connection. Is that idea of not replacing social interaction face-to-face, but offering a supplement to those that otherwise cannot interact with their friends. If, you know, say for example, a pandemic happened, or you had to go 4 or 5 hours away for work, and you wanted to keep in touch with your family. You know, that's the good thing of social media, is the opportunity to keep in touch with people and continue your usual discourse until you get to see them in person again. But yes, of course, brands feed off that connection, the idea of building a brand, that connection, and this is unfortunately ties into a topic, and I don't want to consider first and foremost, let me clarify something right now. You can clip this if you really want to. I will never be one of those people to build a streamer Discord. I don't know if people still do this, but I have no interest in building a streamer Discord where the goal is let's support each other. Because you know why? Because that is some pyramid scheme bullshit designed only to benefit the person who started that server. I refuse to do it. Follow for follow. I mean, that one's blatantly, obviously never going to work. Anyone who falls for that shit is dumb as fuck. Anyone who falls for follow is dumb as fuck. But I've seen it time and again. You've got a person who will start up a brand built around, oh, you're a streamer too? Come and join my streamer Discord, where there's lots of other streamers, and we can build each other up. Let's grow together. Fuck off. Okay? My ambition as a streamer is this. My ambition as a streamer is this. As narcissistic as it sounds, because I am a narcissist, I want the brand to be me, and I want to be providing you with value. And the value I want to provide is the entertainment, is what I'm saying to you. The words I have to espouse, and not the promise of some, empty raid or something like that. Even if you have a streamer Discord with a bunch of people in it and they're all different streamers, and I don't have water. Hang on a sec, let me get my water. Don't go anywhere, guys. I'm not going to put the BRB up this time. Don't go anywhere. Hello. Water time. Ah, okay. Actual water. It's all horse shit, it is. It is. And it makes me understand why people would go out of their way to, if they were a streamer, for example, if they were a streamer and didn't want to build a brand and just wanted to stream for the sake of, I'm playing a game, come watch it. And that's how I started. Honestly. And like you said, Lee, not everything needs to be about fostering a brand. Part of your problem with much of your Twitter timeline is you don't know shit about the people you're following because all you see is brand. And I get that. 100%. And, don't get me wrong, I want the Rogue Bitch brand to grow as a concept, but I still want it to be me. It's not streamer persona. It's not the thing that I see all the time, G Fuel sponsorship, playing Apex Legends, trying to get some fat dubs. Like, there's this loads of neon lights. And I'm a bit of a lighting whore, not gonna lie. Like, if you go look at my Instagram, for example. Let me bring this up. You might have gleaned that I like my lighting. I do. I'm quite a fan of it. However, there is a certain very stereotypical brand, very approachable, brand-friendly streamer type that is not at all aligned with anything that I'm interested in doing. Even though I do like neon. I do like my neon. But I've been to countless streams where it's exactly the same kind of person, they just look different. There's no uniqueness to them. There's no difference. Because they have found the formula that works for other streamers and they mimic it. Says the person who blatantly mimics ContraPoints. Anywho. You only really watch me and Kat, starting to watch Calgar a bit more, take a look at other streams every so often. Watch you guys because you're fucking entertaining. And you have a strong connection. Well, you do have a strong connection with us. You're a friend. I went to Kat's place and fake married her often. Yeah, I'm coming to your wedding. Exactly. If all you see is links to making money, getting more subs, doing things that only serve to drive eyes to your content, but you don't know who you are as a person, you mute and move on. It's clinical, soulless, matter for nothing. Just another number. Yeah, that's true. It's true. I called you the F word. Friend. Oh, friend. I'm like, I already said the really bad F word tonight once on stream. At least you have self-awareness. May I say, again, I do consider myself quite narcissistic. But not in a negative sense. And like you said, self-awareness. I consider myself someone who is very aware of the fact that she loves herself. I'm very aware of the fact that I am in love with myself. I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, God damn, bitch, you're hot. It's not, narcissism is more than that, but I definitely have this sensation of, I have the skill to be a very good entertainer at a level that could make me a solid income one day. I do believe I have that capacity. I do believe I have that possibility. And I refuse to let that go. And in that sense, I think I'm very narcissistic, like I said. But yeah, the thing is, I'm also self-aware of that. I'm very aware of the fact that I have got this cockiness about me. I've got this ego about me, which has been portrayed in numerous different ways on my stream over the years. But I think spending so much time in front of a camera, trying to entertain people. Stop punching the microphone, bitch. Jesus Christ. Spending so much time in front of a camera lends to... Well, I mean, what was... Hang on a moment. I believe narcissism did come from Narcissus, didn't it? And wasn't Narcissus a figure from Greek mythology who was so impossibly handsome that he fell in love with his own image reflected in a pool of water? Can I iterate something? I made a point after I came out. After I'd spent quite a bit of time transitioning, I made the point, I forget probably Twitter, maybe on Discord, maybe somewhere. Maybe I said it on stream, but I made the point that I spent so much time trying to find the woman of my dreams, and after I came out, I found her. If that ain't narcissistic as all hell. Self-love, everyone. Self-love. Practice self-love. Every day. You do have neons on camera. That's mainly to try and soften the harsh light over your head. Uni halls don't leave much space for lighting. That's understandable. Give me a second for a moment. Let me try something, right? I do have neons in here. I want to try something. No, I have RGB lights. 2 of them. Right? Which, and this was something I posted a picture of this, right? On my Twit face. If I say I posted something, just check my Twitter and you'll find it. Honestly, I hope this doesn't fill up my skirt or whatever. But, for example, here we go. Right. Now my frame rate is totally fucked because the lighting is terrible in here. Oh, that's why. The umbrellas are on. Hang on. But I could do the whole thing with the neons. I wanted to. I could do this. The only problem is, of course, the light from the monitors makes it look a little bit unusual. Doesn't look quite right. Could slap my logo up there. So, you know, I have the option to do the colored lighting thingy, which is kind of a chill vibe. I did mention this. Like, it's kind of works to its own way. The new pink sparkles. I'm missing certain assets. Sadly. Have a good stream. Gonna go stream myself. Feel free to raid me, guys. PogChamp lol. Good lord. Hydrate. Here we go. Oh, goodness me. Just gonna say eHarmony, OkCupid, where you meet your soon-to-be hubby, Plentyfish, Tinder. These are places you'll find a romantic relationship with people who are single and looking for things similar to you. Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, etc. are full of people who want to remain single or are already spoken for. There is a notion of, like, there are people who've met their significant others through Twitch, but and Twitter, Facebook, etc. I would not advise it, though. But realistically speaking, like any of these different social media you go to, it's an opportunity to meet people. In the same way going to a social event in real life is a way to meet people, and that can lead to something. But yeah, Twitch is not a dating site. It's absolutely not a dating site. Do you want me to put the green screen back on now? Because this backdrop is honestly not doing a whole lot for me, quite frankly. I want better lighting for this to make this work properly. On the subject. He started streaming because of an ex who used to. That reminds me of Sir Caitlin, who started streaming because they wanted to stream to spite their ex, and their goal was to do better than their ex was, and they ended up reaching that point. Queen shit. That's what you did? Anywho. Let's put this back to normal, shall we? Because I did my pixel art graphics for a reason, alright? I'm gonna use them. Blah. Bitch, don't knock anything off. God. Ah. So, there's that. You got a preview of, like, my actual thing, what I do. Kez is in the mood for colored lighting. Tell you what, I want what do I want? I want umbrella lights like the ones I've got now, but that give me colored lighting. I didn't turn this one on. Goodness sake. Why am I so bad at this? Who would trust me to be a pro streamer? Can't even get my lights right. That's the great thing about the live format though, right? Anyway. Half watching this stream, half writing werewolf fiction. Fantastic. Fantastic. We need more werewolf fiction. 100% needed it in 2 months. Turn those off. There we go. Now you're going back to not being affiliated again. Why going back to not being affiliated? How is that is that a thing? Okay, so yeah, narcissism. As we were talking about before. We were talking about, well, I don't think I'm, like, textbook narcissist. I am being a bit self-aggrandizing? Maybe not the right word for it. I am being a bit, I'm exaggerating a bit. Site is just, you can't anymore. Canceling your contract once you make final payout. Okay, I see. I get you. I considered that for a while. And considered the idea of going and streaming on multiple platforms, which is still in the cards, I think. But personally, I think I'd need a larger audience before I make that switch. My goal, I think I mentioned somewhere that I was going to go for partner, get to partner level, and then get offered the partner contract and turn Twitch down. Which is not how it works. You actually have to apply for yourself.
We hope you enjoy your stay.
Rimu Thigh Highs, welcome to the Road Room. Sit down, chill out, hang out with us, have a good old time. Hope you're doing well. So when you change the account name, I actually had this issue when I changed from my old name to my current screen name, of course. People didn't know who I was as this name because not everybody was aware of my transition. So I rated Big Viking Mitch a little while back. How are you, Rimu? How are you doing? I rated Big Viking Mitch and he didn't know who I was. I'll turn the title off for now because we're not really on a topic. And he looked me up on Twitter after the fact and found out I was... Because I rated him and I had a VIP badge in his stream, which would raise alarm bells. Like, who is this person whose username I don't recognize? Who has a VIP badge in my stream? And it's like, well, I used to be someone else, but now I'm happy. You doing well? I am having a good night. We are having a good night tonight. It's a chill one. We're hanging out talking about stuff. I don't need this article up. There is something I would like to... We'll drop the social media thing for now. I think I'm done with that topic. I think I've said all I need to say about that. But here's something that I'm quite happy to see on Twitter, which is seldom will you ever see me say I'm happy to see something on Twitter. Hang on a moment. Let me see here. Can I move this? Oh my god, it's way too long. Can I make it smaller? Is that gonna work? Damn it! Still too big. Dude. Hang on. There we go. That's a good way to do it.
Welcome back.
That'll do it.
Supporter of the
Cockles! Thank you for the 9
late,
months,
but
my
happy
friend.
to be here.
I'm so glad you are here, my friend. How have you been? Welcome back. Thank you so kindly. We're just about to talk about fuck ableists. You say that about your partner. Oh, okay. How are you, Cockles? What have you been doing? What have you been up to? There's a tag on Twitter right now that I'm very happy to see. That's hashtag make ableists uncomfortable. And it's a bunch of disabled people talking about their experiences. And just, you know, generally speaking, make ableists uncomfortable. Because ableism is one of those particular types of bigotry, I think. That for some reason a lot of people are really, really comfortable expressing just how ableist they are. They're comfortable just going out there and using the R slur, for example, and a big one, particularly with trans people. Anytime I see a trans news article, trans-related news article, there's comments. I made a tweet about this actually on this subject, on this very subject. Where is it? Trans people are mentally ill and need therapy. That's both transphobic and ableist. Like, you're saying that trans people are bad, A, because they're mentally ill, B. It's like, good lord. And, you know, anytime. So, what am I seeing now? I'm seeing a bunch of tweets. It's like, go scroll through hashtag make ableists uncomfortable. Don't Don't get pissy when I overly apologize for a quirk of my mental health or my autism. It's how we are conditioned to behave when we don't comply to the norm. Hashtag make ableists uncomfortable. PTSD isn't just war flashbacks. It could be the result of any trauma, and I'm not going to give you details if you ask. Some people have a hard time verbalizing or even remembering what happened. Saying that everyone has issues when a disabled person opens up about their struggles ignores the systemic and societal ableism that disabled people suffer from daily. This is a good hashtag to go through on Twitter. It's trending right now. It's got 44. Well, this is trending in Australia at the very least. That's the hashtag. Thing that rankles you to the core are the autistic bootlickers who try to defend the use of the R slur. Autistic Blair Whites. Yeah, that's true too. I hate that as well. Where they're just like, oh, I'm disabled, therefore I'm allowed to use the R slur, and I think it's, blah, blah, blah. It's stupid bullshit because it just normalizes it. And they usually have an edgelord crowd who don't care, who aren't disabled, or even if they are, they're just like, oh, I'm disabled, therefore I can use it. Despite the fact that they're just encouraging the use of the word as a negative term. Like, that guy, Ricky Berwick, he put out a piece of merch that had that on it. Had the R slur on it. And it's like, oh, he can get away with it because his whole shtick is that he's severely disabled. It's like, well, no. And it reminds me of something that came up a little bit recently. And this might be a... Hang on, why is that off-center there? Fuck ableists, anyway. I wish these would just align no matter where I place them anyway. The thing that annoys me was I saw recently somebody tweet about, I swear this was like very, very briefly a trendy topic, was the use of the word dude or guys or anything like that. And it was people saying, this word to me is gender neutral, thereby I'll use it to whoever I want. It's like, if somebody says to you that calling them a dude, I still get weird about it. I'm still not sure if I like being called a dude, because it's still, even if it is gender neutral, it feels like a particularly masculinized term, right? It was very, very brief. I swear it was very, very brief. People were talking about this kind of thing. It's like, oh, I consider it a gender neutral term. Make it based on like it. Yeah, I think I did, and it for some reason is not working. It's set to that, but for some reason it's not working. It's alignment right, vertical alignment top, and it doesn't seem to want to cooperate with me. I don't know why. I'll try to fix that later off stream. But what's irritating is it's the same video source, and usually if you move it around in one scene, it moves it around in another, but it's not doing it this time. But anyway, it's like, if someone else says that particular terminology when used in reference to them makes them uncomfortable, don't use it, right? And the same can be said of the R slur. There might be special needs people, disabled people, who think the R slur is fine and dandy, and it's a fun word to throw around. But then there are other disabled people who are going to look at that word and be like, well, I'm not comfortable with that. I wouldn't be comfortable being called that word. If someone says that to me and they're just like, oh, get over it, I don't consider it a slur, so I can use it. It's not that far away from I consider you insert gender, so I can call you insert pronouns. Exactly. It's a way of just taking away something. Like, it's a way of disrespecting someone. If someone says to you they're not comfortable being called a thing, being called something, it's a form of disrespect. And we need to move past this archaic notion that respect must be earned. There should be a bare minimum of respect that is given to whoever it is you're speaking to. Even if they are a reprehensible person, there is a bare minimum level of respect. For example, if there is a trans person, like if there's Blair White, I'm not going to refer to Blair White as a man simply because I disagree with some of her viewpoints. But that's what some people would find acceptable, is to dehumanize a person because they don't agree with their viewpoints. They don't offer them the respect of anything, any respect. In the other sense, hang on, think dude is gender neutral, but if someone said it to you, you wouldn't call him dude. Yeah. It becomes tricky. In the other sense, as a guy, it'd be weird to be referred to as a part of a group as girls. I wouldn't be offended, and in some contexts you'd get it, but not as reflective. But it's definitely not as reflexively normal as guys. And that's like...
Welcome to the Rogue Room.
Feisty Fox.
We hope you enjoy your stay.
Please sit down, grab a drink, chill out with us. Feisty Fox, welcome into the Rogue Room. I hope you're having a lovely night. The thing about guys again is a masculine term. Dudes is a masculine term. The reason it's so normalized is because males have made it that way. It has been, that in itself is its own form of male privilege. It's so normalized and so gender neutral because it's just wormed its way into the normal social nomenclature, social vocabulary, I think. And yeah, we can look at it as gender neutral. Yeah, we can look at dudes and guys as gender neutral. But like you said, you can't, if there's a group of 3 girls and 2 guys, and you say, let's go, girls, chances are those 2 men are going to be somewhat annoyed. It's like, excuse me? You know? There's a possibility. They might be lighthearted about it, but generally speaking, I think there's that chance. You know, it's gonna make them flinch for a second and be like, did they just call this entire group girls when there's 2 men here? Whereas if there is a group of people, again, let's go 3 girls, 2 guys, same group of people, and you say, let's go, guys. Everyone is still, generally speaking, taught to believe that that's gender neutral, even though the term guy or the term dude are based in masculine nomenclature. Another reason to advocate for y'all, true. I say that sometimes and I'm like, why? I'm Australian. But anyway. Giving people base level respect no matter what is a form of respecting yourself. That is true too. There's a lot to say about that, and we'll come back to the fuck ableists thing. It's like, even if you are disabled, Peeps is a good one. Even if you are disabled and you refer to yourself with the R slur and you throw it around wildly, if you happen to be with another disabled person who's very uncomfortable with that term, and you're just throwing it around ridiculously like it's no big deal, then not only is that disrespecting them, it is disrespecting you. Because you are saying to yourself that you consider yourself the lesser, because we all know the R slur is generally perceived in social vocabulary as a negative term. We know the R slur is a slur. We know when people call something that. We know when someone uses the R slur to refer to a thing, they're saying it's stupid. They're saying it's dumb. They're saying it's broken. And if you drop a spoon on the floor, and you say, oh god, I'm such an R slur, you're saying you're stupid. You're saying you're an idiot. You're saying you're an imbecile, a moron. Which, by the way, all 3 of those used to be terms, medical terms, for mentally disabled people. And that's kind of speaks to the way that language evolves and changes over time. We don't use those words in reference to mentally disabled people anymore. We use them to refer to what we call stupid people. But the R slur, we can say the word retard in context here. The word retard in the common vernacular is considered a slur towards disabled people, even if you're not using it to refer to a disabled person. It'd be the same as calling a white person the N-word, for example. Which, take us back to that PewDiePie bridge incident, where he calls Brad, who he's on headset with, the N-word. And he's using it as a demeaning term. He's using it as an insult. And thereby, by using that word as an insult, he's demeaning everyone who's ever had that word used against them. Black people. He is disrespecting that entire group of people. Regardless of the history, that's the current colloquial usage, yeah. But anyway, that's, we're here on the, the Make Ableists Uncomfortable hashtag at the moment. Can I zoom this in a bit? Here we go. What's this? Disability isn't a punishment or some form of divine intervention. You don't avoid disability by being pious and religious. Disability isn't a reflection of your morality. Make ableists uncomfortable. That's a good one. You don't look sick, you must be lying. This is very relevant. I get all the time people saying to me that I don't seem autistic. And I really, really hate this, honestly, because autism itself is a spectrum. It's a spectrum disorder with so many different variations of what autism is. So to say, oh, you don't seem autistic to me, is kind of degrading my autism, degrading my diagnosis, and saying that it's, you're quite the uninformed what exactly is an ableist. An ableist is someone who looks at disability as something to be mocked. In the same way a racist, well, we don't want to get into the depth of racism right now. There's a whole lot there. But like ableism is effectively somebody who is able-bodied, able-minded. Well, not even necessarily. An ableist is just somebody who is effectively mistreating and disrespecting disabled people. It doesn't matter if they themselves are able-bodied or able-minded. But yeah, like that's the general idea is disrespecting disabled people makes you an ableist, right? Or asserting superiority over disabled people makes you an ableist. You know, high functioning does not equal normal with quirks. Yeah, true. I am high functioning. I'm very, very autistic. See this shit? This is one of my quirks. I need my fidget toys all the time. Look at what I did to my tripod. The fidget spinner doesn't do a whole lot for me. I like it for a little bit, but it doesn't last long. The shuriken. It's supposed to be like a Genji shuriken. It's kind of nice. The fidget cube's my favorite. It's pink. Anyway, prejudice on the basis of physical/mental disability. That's what I was trying to get across. Yeah, I was doing very badly there. I've found that on certain topics, even if I know what I'm talking about, there are occasionally times where I cannot get the point across. I cannot elucidate exactly what I want to state. And in this circumstance, yeah, ableism, the hashtag make ableists uncomfortable, is let's talk about situations where our disability has come up. That's what I can glean from this. It's like, let's talk about our disability and our circumstances with ableists. And try to break down that stigma around disability, because a lot of people who just disregard disability, really. Generally specific to the condition and symptoms. True. What else is there? Your respect for autistic people should expand beyond those of us who fit the socially awkward scientist stereotype. All types of people can be neurodivergent, and the media is not reality. Your collective obsession with perfume forces sensitive people out of public space. Stop wearing it. That one's a bit of a stretch, I feel like. Especially in the midst of a pandemic where nobody should be in public spaces to begin with, but still. I can only hold a conversation for a limited time, not all the time, and definitely not for 40-hour plus work weeks. Being able to speak isn't the same as being able to work. Autism doesn't go away when it's convenient. Yep. That one's true. What term do doctors use now is generally... Oh, I see. There's a drift away from catch-all medical terms. True. You don't get to comment on the state that executive dysfunction has left someone's house. If you don't like it, how about you offer to fix it? Judging someone for not being able to do something does not solve the problem of their inability to do it. What's executive dysfunction? My caps lock is on again. Term used to describe a range of cognitive, behavioral, and emotional difficulties which often occur as a result of another disorder or a traumatic brain injury. Individuals with fuck off, executive dysfunction struggle with planning, problem solving, organization, and time management. Fuck off! Jesus Christ, ADD. Okay. 2 pop-ups! 2 fucking pop-ups! Go away! Good lord! You know autistic people who are obsessed with perfume, you're obsessed with sports, doesn't make us any less autistic. I'm obsessed with streaming. This is my hyperfocus. It's my addiction. It's my autistic, well, the entertainment thing in general. Creating content, I would argue, is my primary well, maybe the gym, actually. Maybe the fitness thing is my, what you call it? My hyperfocus as an autistic person. Because for those who don't know, hyperfocusing is something autistic people do. They pick a specific thing and they devote a lot of themselves to it. And I think I'm definitely certain, I'm almost certain fitness is mine. Going to the gym, I get disgruntled and very moody and very not happy with myself if I can't get to the gym as routine. Like, I go 6 days a week, and Sunday my rest day. Even then, when I'm resting, when I'm chilling out, I'm like, okay, I know I'm not going to the gym today, I know I'm not breaking a sweat, thereby I need to make sure I don't eat too much. Like, I have a particular obsession with getting to the gym. I work out constantly, and now, especially knowing how to lose fat, which I've been doing for a while now, my focus is specifically on looking aesthetically pleasing. So, I guess that always was the goal. What on earth are you talking about? Anyway, so back to make ableists uncomfortable for a moment. We already read that one. Make ableists uncomfortable as we should. And while we're at it, here's your reminder from an actual blind person to remove any fonts from your DN or bio. This is a good one. This is a very good one. Hello, Positive Vibe Fairy. How you doing? Have a nice day. Have a lovely, lovely day. Meet as many puppies as possible. This is true. There is a neighbor of my mother's who's like, well, down the street and round the corner. We went for a walk to the shopping center the other day, and we walked past this house on the corner, and this lady had a gorgeous new puppy dog. Adorable little thing. Warmed my heart. Need to meet more puppy dogs. Russell Barkley, some of his videos are from 5 to 10 years ago. There is some R-word in the medical sense. It was still working its way out of that.
We hope you enjoy your stay.
Rebotch, welcome to the Rogue Room. Please sit down, have a drink, chill out with us. We hope you enjoy your stay. Smudge hopes you enjoy your stay after he's had his flea bath today. He wasn't happy about that. He's all nice and clean now. But he was not happy to have a bath. Anyway. Yeah, this particular one here. As we should. While we're at it, here's a reminder from an actual blind person to remove any fonts from your... I don't know what DN or bio. But bio, I know what bio is. It's people who use screen readers cannot understand it. There's a thing... some people will use like wacky symbols to make their username or their bio look cute. And if people are using screen readers, it mucks them up massively. Somebody put a preview up of that a while back. I won't go find it now, but you get the idea. You know, rather than reading the words, it's trying to read this symbol, which makes no sense to a blind person. But to the rest of us, it looks like cursive script or something. Having a drink, can you feel welcome? Can you ask for advice? What kind of advice would you like to ask for? Was once told you were lazy and useless by an ex-housemate because there were days where I could barely get out of bed and function no matter what I tried. I know that feeling. Alt tags and stuff like that. Lady advice. Okay. Lady advice. That's an interesting one. Haven't had people ask me for lady advice as yet. But that's another one. That lazy and barely get out of bed sort of thing. Very indicative of depression, which is most definitely a disability. Most certainly a disability. And that in itself is a... like depression in and of itself, there are a lot of people who, of course, dismiss depression as people being lazy, people just needing to feel happy, needing to cheer up, or just go take some drugs and get better and all that kind of thing. Just completely dismissing how heavily depression can affect people. And especially when it comes to medication, like depressed people... you need to find a remedy that goes beyond medication, in my view, because the vast majority of medications they prescribe to depressed people who get to this point where they can barely get out of bed and function. The people who get to this point, like, the medications they give you, all they do is give you the energy to get out of bed. But all of your emotions are incredibly stifled. You become flat. I've been on several antidepressants and it just makes me flat. You noticed I'm a lovely trans lady. Thank you. I thought you'd mentioned you did a stream the other day with your trans friend Lexi about her experience being trans. On the off chance I'm interested, I would be interested in talking about my trans experience. Absolutely. Oh, it sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty good. Oh my god. Let me get a drink. Executive dysfunction can do that same thing. It doesn't matter how much you know how to do the thing or that you should do the thing, you still just don't do it. I get that sometimes, honestly. I don't think I have executive dysfunction, but I do get that sometimes where I'm like, I'm sitting there. And I have all the capacity in the world to do the thing that I should be doing at that moment. And I just don't do it. I just cannot bring the motivation to the surface. It's just not there some days. And that could possibly tie into spoon theory. Definitely ties into spoon theory, honestly. The idea of spoon theory, for those who don't know, is like you have so many spoons for your energy per day, right? And getting out of bed one day might take 1 spoon if you have 12. And other days it might take 5 to get out of bed. It might take 2 to make breakfast, or it might take 10. So, you can run out of spoons really easily, and all of a sudden you've got no energy left to do anything. You feel like every other thing you have to do is a chore. Hello, cat. Like an actual exhaustive effort. Come on. You want to come over here and sit on my lap? I know you do. Kit Kat. You feel nice and soft and fluffy. Genuine ableism is shit. People who say ableist things is a joke. No. Sorry, but no. I'm going to disagree with that. You should not be using ableism as a joke. You should not be making fun of people. You should not be saying people are retarded. You shouldn't be making fun of people for having a peg leg. You shouldn't be making fun of people for being blind, depressed, anxious, any of those. It's not okay. That comes back to that stupid shit about oh, I make fun of everyone. It's like, no, stop it. Like, let's dispense with the notion that disrespecting a person or an identity or an issue for the sake of comedy is funny. It's not. Just because you decide to Isaac Butterfield something and say, oh, I fucking hate vegans, ha ha ha, jiggle my beard around, doesn't make it funny. It makes you an asshole. Ah, the fucking retards, ha ha ha. He does that a lot, actually. He uses very flagrantly across the board bigoted speech. I hate Isaac Butterfield. I hate Isaac Butterfield. He's the perfect example of the kind of comic I hate. And he's absolutely an ableist. I've heard him call people retarded. I've heard him make fun of people who are disabled. At some point it can become just sincerity. Exactly. Not a big deal by any means, but one of your favorite female skaters has been sliding in your DM saying she likes your voice and you don't know what to do. You live in a cool place, but you don't know, get insecure about everything else. One of your favorite female skaters. That's pretty cool. With regards to talking to girls, I am honestly like the worst. I have no idea how to talk to girls. I need to get back on my board though. I need to get back into skateboarding. I haven't skated in months. I've been slacking so hard. But yeah, the issue, honestly, Rogue, that I had was I would do that kind of thing back long before I transitioned. I would use that kind of language. I would use those kind of jokes. And it was under the guise of like, either all the speech is okay or none of it's okay. And I realize now how harmful that is. I realize now how harmful it is to use language that specifically targets especially marginalized groups. Especially marginalized groups. Quite frankly, the only good comedy is when you're punching up. Okay, but if you're constantly picking at people who are in marginalized identities, people who are disabled, if you're making fun of disabled people, if you're making fun of disability, that can bleed, especially if you have any level of influence. You have an audience. That can bleed into sincerity. That can bleed into people taking your words at face value. And this is why we say fuck ableists. Commiserating, joking inside a group, but outside of that crowd it can do damage. Does she want to talk to you because you're in this area, because she's into your voice? Either or. The massive overuse of autistic in the modern day gaming. Yes. I agree with that. I really get fucking sick of people calling shit autistic. As an autistic person, it's like you don't need to do that. But it reminds me of that dickhead I did a video on months and months and months and months ago. It reminds me of this idiot who blatantly, there's a bug on my desk, shouted the N-word at an opponent in an Overwatch game. And he got suspended from the Overwatch League or banned from the Overwatch League, banned on Twitch. and all of that. And his excuse was, in the heat of the moment, you want to say whatever you can to rile up your opponent. Not an excuse. If you are calling someone autistic as an insult to rile them up in the heat of the moment, not okay. Tilting is a bullshit strategy. It just means you have no skill. That's it. If you can't, like, quite frankly, unsportsmanlike behavior doesn't belong in sports. Crazy, that. Trying to make your opponent angry. Yeah. How about outplay them? Rather than try to piss them off, how about you outplay them? I'm going to say something right now, which is kind of in this vein, honestly. But if you are struggling to beat your opponent in a competitive game, get good. But like in this circumstance, I don't think that is specifically an ableist thing. Because if you're going into competitive sports and you're at that level and you can't beat your opponent, sorry, but you're not good enough, friend. If your goal, if the only way you're able to get under your opponent's skin and try to distract them from winning is to scream slurs at them down a microphone, you're not a good enough gamer. You're not a good enough player. Tough shit, bitch. Okay. Let's try that. Let's continue back with ableism. I think I have another point I wanted to talk about tonight. We'll come back to that stuff. Alright. Companies have had to make adjustments to be COVID secure, e.g. flexible hours, physical changes in the workplace, remote working, etc. Now you know it's possible. Maybe you could do similar but potentially much easier changes to promote inclusivity. Exactly. And what else is there? Ableism is not being able to scroll 5 minutes in the hashtag without somebody defending their need to be ableist regarding cluster B disorders, because the behaviors we exhibit that they don't like aren't the fault of something beyond our control. I think I know what she's saying there. Cycling back to dark humor, offensive jokes, just keep that to yourself or with your group of friends who you know are fine with it. Even then, though. Even then. That comes back to Destiny. Well, Destiny, the video game, is trending at the moment. Destiny said something about that to Trihex, I think, a while back. How he was like, oh, should be okay for him to say the N-word. Personally, in private. And he says there should be no problem with it. So you'll have to be careful that it doesn't get too far into your thought process. Yeah, exactly. Like with the people who watch the big name pundits. Excuse me. Like the big name pundits who will, again, I keep using Butterfield as a reference. I guess Crowder is in the same vein. It's like they treat these issues, these serious issues, like a joke. But then they have an audience who is unable to tell the joke. Is unable to distinguish between the joke and the reality of the situation. And as a result, they get radicalized against certain types of people. Internalizing that kind of talk will turn you into that kind of person. Absolutely. I think I had a lot of internalized ableism before I came to terms with the fact that, hey, I am being pretty ableist about my own autism and other things. And yeah, I gave myself the excuse of, oh, well, I'm autistic, thereby I can make fun of it, right? Still not okay, because then it turns you, even then, like, even you have the Blair White situation. Blair White is a transgender transphobe. She hates trans people, as a transgender person herself. She has absolutely internalized her transphobia to become one of the good ones to her right-wing audience. And that's the same kind of thing, is like, you just start building that idea in your head and it becomes cemented in there. It becomes locked in there. If your vision of the future has 0 disabled people in it, or only has certain not too challenging, not too different disabled people in it, your vision of the future is ableist. Neither the future nor any utopia should exist without us. This is another thing. It's like, this comes back to autism. Like, I'm gonna keep bringing up autism, even though I know this refers to numerous disabilities. But as someone who's autistic, I'm gonna relate it to autism because that's particularly relevant to me personally, so I can speak on it from experience. There's a lot of people who believe, and again, coming back to what I just said moments ago, I had a lot of internalized ableism. There's a lot of people who believe that you can cure autism. There's a lot of people who think there is some way to develop some kind of cure, whatever that cure is, that gets rid of the symptoms of autism. And the reality of the situation is, like, there's so many symptoms on the autistic spectrum that you're not going to be able to cure it on a core level. You know, it's really just, I don't know, it's ridiculous. Radio Snack, have a good one. It has been fun having you hanging out here. I look forward to seeing you around again. I think I'm going to be live again, 9 p.m. tomorrow. And hopefully we'll see you there. But yeah, don't get you started on those fuckwits. What was I going to say? The key one that comes to mind for you is little people. Explain what you mean. I know what you mean about little people. I know what you mean by little people, but, like, specifically, elucidate your point. I would like to know more. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of people, and there are a lot of autistic people who would like a cure, who would like to be neurotypical. And unfortunately, that's just not going to happen. There are some symptoms that can be treated, I believe, with certain medications. But it's not going to cure you. And you shouldn't feel like your place in society is lesser because of the fact that you're autistic. And again, with every other disability. If you've had your legs blown off in war, you shouldn't feel like less of a person because you've had to have your legs amputated. You shouldn't feel like less of a person because you had a traumatic brain injury. You shouldn't feel like less of a person because you have PTSD. You shouldn't feel like less of a person because of executive dysfunction. You know? And this becomes the situation of people just casually mocking autism, people just casually mocking disability, people telling people to get over depression and anxiety. They don't care. And that idea spreads and creates a very, very toxic landscape in the social space. One person you've been following is Anne Mehmet and her crusade against ABA and how it's basically abusing autistic people into acting normal. What's ABA? Remind me what ABA is. Because I know we talked about Autism Speaks and how bad they are, and how they are explicitly a eugenicist group. Explicitly. They want a cure for autism. There's no cure for autism. And they need to stop acting like there should be one. A lot of people you watch make racist, able LGBTQ, etc. jokes. They're all openly supportive of the communities, going as far as to publicly call out people that may have associated with for saying shit that goes against that. Applied behavioral analysis. I'll have to look them up. I think it was on last week tonight about gene editing that you saw this, but it's a very similar comparison. They don't want their condition to be fixed from their offspring. They don't suffer from dwarfism. They suffer from other people. The deaf community is like this as well. And some people see it as a negative thing. I think it's a very controversial topic, but there's a deaf community that explicitly doesn't see their deafness as a negative trait, and they tend to ostracize people who go out of their way to effectively cure their deafness by getting hearing aids and the like. That's a whole very complicated situation. Just let me do this for a second, because I see something that says NSFW. Oh, okay. It's not a picture, it's someone's description that's make ableists uncomfortable. I sometimes verbally stim while having hot, steamy intercourse with my fiancé because it's so good. You start bordering on eugenics with that kind of thing, with hearing aids and the like? Maybe that's what they mean. Again, I can't speak to the notion because I'm not deaf. I haven't interacted with the deaf community in any significant capacity. But yeah, the option to effectively remedy their deafness is seen as a negative thing in the deaf community, and people are ostracized from the deaf community for choosing to seek that cure, seek that treatment. They don't want their condition to be fixed, yeah. Gene editing. Well, yeah, gene editing, that sort of science would be specifically absolutely eugenicist. It would absolutely lead to eugenics. Would absolutely lead to, yeah, like you said, the test tube babies thing. Being able to get pregnant and then selectively remove certain things that would lead to Down syndrome or the like. And that's a whole discussion. Because I know there are many, many parents who would detest the idea of having to give birth to a child that they would then see as a burden, rather than someone they could see as following in their footsteps one day. You know, start with removing disabilities, but there are so many other possibilities. Yeah. It's a very slippery slope. Posture check. Let's make sure I'm sitting correctly. You can see my bra. Oh no. My bra to cover up my no titties that I've got. Would supporting people who clearly make jokes about a community they clearly support make you a bad person? There's a lot in that. There's a lot in that. But personally, yeah, I don't support people making jokes that punch down, quite frankly. That whole idea of everything is comedy, I don't support it, generally speaking. Because a lot of the time, those people think they have good intentions. Like everything's a target, thereby it's fair and equal. But if for example, you have one person making jokes about every single minority group, and then they make a joke about white people, that joke that makes fun of white people is going to have next to no impact compared to jokes that make fun of black people or Mexican people or anything else, especially in a white society. And same with if you make a bunch of jokes about disabled people and then you make some jokes about able-bodied people, it's the same thing. The able-bodied people are going to be able to shrug it off. They don't care. They have the privilege of not being disabled. I don't know what jokes you can make about able-bodied people, though. That one's kind of stumped me. No such thing as equal opportunity isms because not everyone is on equal footing. Precisely. So, and that's the issue of treating everything like a joke, of being able to look at everything and say, oh, this is funny. And this is one thing that keeps getting brought up, is like, if someone's laughing, if a group of people are laughing, it's funny, thereby it's comedy. Sample joke about able people, tall people, how's the weather up there? Yeah, I suppose. See, that's non-offensive. That's not going to affect anyone. That's not going to give them any hard times, any hard feelings. They're probably sick of hearing the joke. Tall people, 6'8" people are probably sick of hearing the joke. But at the end of the day, they're not going to care. It's not going to affect them. But if you were to make a joke about how... If you were to make that joke Donald Trump made about the reporter with the arm... I forget what exact disability he had. But Donald Trump's up on stage going, doing this thing. And the TikTok, my highest viewed video on my YouTube channel before I deleted all those videos, the TikTok Autism Challenge, was about those people effectively mimicking what Donald Trump did for TikTok views. Those, like, disabled people with that specific kind of disability will see that they're being mocked, and then go, oh, that's how they see us. They see us as lesser. Like, seats are tough in planes and doorways can be tough. It's arguably an ableist joke. Potentially. Now, let me see here. They all come from the angle of they will always make sure people know this, lifting people up and trying to make sure they don't feel like shit about who they are and even playing to their own stereotypes. Like a YouTuber you watch who is a southerner who makes a fuckload of those jokes about the South. I don't think I want to know what kind of jokes, quite honestly. Doesn't sound good. Here's a good one. Just because I don't look normal, it's not your job to point it out. Also, I'm 37. I didn't wake up looking like this for the first time today. There you go. Why do I feel like one thing, unless you are saying something positive about a person, there is no need for you to comment on a person's appearance ever, unless you are complimenting them. And even then, only if they kind of make it known they are looking for a compliment. I have a traumatic brain injury that makes me really dumb at, among other things, math and short-term memory. I also forget words and have fluency issues with my speech. Like the majority of people with TBIs, I am not violent or unstable. We're not people to be afraid of. This is another thing. This comes back to... This is what one of the issues with terrorists... Let's call them what they are, they're terrorists. But anytime there's a shooting in America, they tend to go the mental health angle. They go, this person was mentally unwell. This person was mentally unstable. They weren't getting the treatment they needed. This person has a lot of issues, especially if it's a white shooter. If it's a white shooter, that's always the go they go for. They're mentally unstable. And that, what does that say to every other mentally ill person? To every other mentally disabled person who's hearing that news that someone has taken an AR-15 and gone and shot up a preschool. What is that saying to them? That's saying that the media, the mainstream media, is seeing that person, is seeing any mentally disabled person as a potentially violent offender. So, ableism itself is quite institutionalized. And this is why it becomes so normal and becomes such a, especially in gaming, especially in the gaming community, streaming community and all that, why it becomes such an easily accessible avenue of harassment. You see a lot of ableism geared harassment on this platform, I think. And gaming in general. You see a lot of ableism in gaming. That humor, without context in the game, he'll say, "Res my honky ass," or something like that. If you're making fun of yourself, even if you're like, if you're making fun of the fact that you're white, it's a bit different. Or like if you're, well, this is where it gets tricky. This is where it gets tricky with the ableism thing. And like I was mentioning before, Ricky Berwick putting out a shirt that says "Retard Station" in the PlayStation font, as a logo, as a joke. And he's got an audience who could see that, and then even though he is disabled, some people might see that and take the message away that they're being.
Welcome to the Rogue
phrase I'm
Room.
looking for? Ginger
We
Turtle.
hope you enjoy your stay.
Welcome to the Rogue Room. Sit down, hang out, chill out, have a good one. Chill with us. Oh, we talk about how fuck ableists. It feels distinctly different when you're referring to something like honky, the white person, versus something so weaponized as the word retard. Yes, honky in its own way has been weaponized against white people, of course, but especially in a white society, we're not going to get into the treatment of white people in other countries because that's deflecting. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the issues that are relevant to the society we live in. You know, the term honky, though it has been weaponized against white people, really doesn't affect them in any significant way. It doesn't treat them negatively in any way. Someone suffers from depression and jokes about it, and they allows their friends to do it. That becomes the whole brand of humor they have as a group. Bad example, honestly, because a lot of depressed people, a lot of people who have severe depression, especially if it gets to the point of suicidal ideation, they'll use that as a coping mechanism to cover up the fact that they want to end their own lives. As a white human, you've never actually heard the term honky. Honestly, I only know of it through media. I've never actually heard it in the in common discourse. I mean, it's not really an Australian thing, really. Oh, honky dory, yeah, that's kind of, that's the only real time I've heard that sort of thing. It's hard to punch up with an identity insult, yeah. So much that. Apologies, that's alright, caps are fine. Just don't spam caps, and then we're good. But yeah, like, you constantly hear about depressed people who are the funny one. And I've known numerous funny people in groups who have had suicidal ideation, who have come to me saying, like, I don't know why I become the therapist of these friend groups, but they come to me and they say, "Oh, I really am in a dark place, really horrifically dark place." But the rest, and I was there. Honestly, like, I look back at some of my old selfies from when I used to go live on Twitch. Back from like Snapchat stories and the like. And I would do this stupid thing where I would make this ugly ass face. This ugly, dumbass looking face. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, before I came out, and like all through my previous streaming career from March 2018 onwards, I was heavily depressed. And I used streaming and the ability to try to make people laugh as a treatment, as a personal treatment for that. And yeah, I don't know if this is relevant. I don't know if that making the funny faces thing is relevant, but I see that a lot in people who are mentally ill. People who are depressed, sorry. Specifically, people who are depressed. I tend to see a lot of these people who will openly say, oh, I've got mental health problems. And they're like, among streamers specifically, it's usually blokes who do this. And they'll say, oh, I'm depressed. And then they're going live post. They have an attached image if they're on Facebook or whatever. And it's them making those dumb faces. They're contorting their face. It's like, oh, I'm funny. Look at me, I'm funny. I'm making a dumb face. And I'm like, I used to do that to deflect away from the fact that I fucking hated myself. Hated how I looked, hated how I spoke, hated how I did everything. I hated all of it. But you try to make people laugh. To deflect that away. To push that away. And a lot of comedians are heavily depressed. So, and that, yeah, that's a way of getting rid of that, getting rid of that responsibility to yourself of seeking treatment, seeking help. And again, we cycle back to the ableism thing. Is like people who will see that, just be happy, and that itself, I think, becomes that idea of just be happy. I think is what spurs people on to be the clown of the group, to be the funny one. It's like, oh, well, everyone's telling me to just be happy, just get over it, just find happiness. And I won't lie, making people laugh and feel welcomed and warm and loved and entertained especially brings me a lot of joy. There is an intense amount of passion behind being able to foster a community where people can come and talk about so many different things. Excuse me. You're welcome. And bringing that entertainment to people is a very big point of serotonin. Bring back the serotonin thing from earlier. Oh my goodness, excuse me. Oh, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, I think that's certainly a part of that just get over it thing. Just be happy. That is itself ableist. To tell a depressed person just be happy is it's blatantly ableist. And yeah, don't take a person's depression and anxiety and autism and all of that. Why can't you just not be autistic? Why can't we get a cure for autism? I don't want a cure for autism. I don't want a cure for depression, quite frankly. Because it's diminishing those people's struggles. Look like a 60s to 90s girl. I mean, I can vibe with that. I don't know what the hell I'm looking like right now, but I'm living for the headscarf thing at the moment. How are you, Kuro? Quite a few things have changed around here. Thank you, Boltwick, for reminding people of the fact that I'm transgender. Anyway. You're ranting, depressed as shit, and in general, I'm probably not making things much better, honestly. Since we're talking about the topic. Let's have blah, blah. Here's a good one. Abel Tamil... Some Daisy Duke realness, though. I like that. Abel's hammering Daniel Andrews MP. Why am I not following him? I should follow him. With questions about whether younger people, late 20s and 30s that died from COVID had underlying conditions or disabilities. Do disabled deaths make you feel less vulnerable in a pandemic? That is a heavy one. That's a heavy question. I'm going to like that one. It's a heavy question. Does it make you more comfortable to exist in a pandemic, knowing that you're going to be okay because you're able-bodied, because you're not affected by some disability that makes you more vulnerable to the pandemic? Does that make you feel more comfortable, knowing that someone who is disabled is more likely to die than you, even if they're in, the bracket where the least people are dying? Fuck, am I holding blue tack? You stick things to walls and stuff with it, and I'm finding it's like my favorite fidget toy right now. You're genuinely against depressed and autistic people. That's the thing. Poster putty, yeah, it's like that sort of stuff. That's the thing, is like even using those jokes, even making jokes against depressed and autistic people and all that kind of stuff. That itself. And like, it becomes a personal question. That's the thing. Are you ableist for making fun of depression and autism, even as someone who has it? Are you a bad person? Hello, Fancy Refined. How you doing? Welcome in. Are you a bad person or are you ableist if you decide to make jokes about depression, about anxiety, autism, ADD, executive dysfunction? Are you necessarily a bad person if you make those jokes, if you suffer from those things yourself? We're talking about ableism because the tag make ableists uncomfortable is trending on Twitter. So we're talking about ableism. That's what we're chatting about. But if you suffer from those things and you make jokes about them and someone else, this is the thing, is like, you can make those jokes. Again, technically speaking. Yeah, like, if you can make someone laugh with a joke, that does technically make the joke funny. This is the thing about that whole everything is comedy thing that, like, Joe Rogan likes to perpetuate. It's like, yes, everything can be funny, and offensive things can be funny, and people that get offended by things. In my opinion, it's like, if someone's offended by your joke, first, the worst thing you can do is tell them to get over it. The worst thing you can do is tell them to get over it. Everyone has a right to be offended by a specific joke. There's no reason that we have to take your shit. Doesn't mean anyone else can't find the joke funny. Just means we don't have to take your shit. Hearing impaired, but you can't help. You've dealt with deaf jokes all your life. And how does that affect you? Is what I would like to know. How do deaf jokes affect you personally? How do you feel? How would you feel if someone who's not hearing impaired makes a deaf joke? Why am I blurry? Thank you, Logitech. Bloody Logitech. After work in the morning, so you might go to bed. Radio Fox, have a good sleep. Have a good one, friend. This hydrates for you. Someone wanted you to look up Israel Kamakawiwoole. I think I pronounced that correctly. The singer who did Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Is that him? Izzy? Or was it Iz? Or whatever his name was? Passed away a few years ago. A lot of people mime at you. Oh gosh. Yeah, that's just outright, and to them it's funny. To them it's funny. They see it as a joke. But that's just unnecessarily rude. Fuck ableists. But I have had the fortune, I suppose, of never really meeting too many people. Oh, like, there are a few here and there who I've met who do tend to think that they can make fun of my autism. And I'm kind of at the point where I'm over it. I'm just like, I'll not react to jokes about my autism. But generally speaking, he died in 1997. Thought it was a few years ago. I'm pretty sure he is the guy who did the cover of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And he was very well known for that cover. Are you ableist? Well, I posed the hypothetical question there. Or, like, the answer to the question is, like, if someone finds the jokes that you make funny, those jokes are funny. But if somebody else finds those jokes offensive, then those jokes are technically still offensive. And if somebody does not like you making those jokes around them, are you going to continue to do so? And this is where things get very, 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 very complicated. Is you have a lot to unpack. You can't really cater to every single person's feelings. Hello, Fluffy Cat. Oh, sorry, I just punched you in the face. He wrote it on the fly. Okay, so did he have, like, unique lyrics for it, did he? Yeah, there's Kitty. There's Kitty, baby. Where is he? He's had a wash today. I can't get the good angle on him. How do you do this? There we go. Wonderful world. Cat stream. I can't get the right angle here. There we go. I got him in the good spot. Forget everything else as a cat. Oh, God.
Welcome to the Rogue Room. We hope you enjoy your stay.
Oh no, I've messed it up. Vixens, thank you for following. Welcome to the Rogue Room. Grab a drink, sit down, chill out, hang with us. Vibe with us. That's the wrong way. We want to get this way. Good night, Kaz. Have a good one.
Welcome to the Rogue Room.
Have a good one.
We hope you enjoy
Rogue
your
5,
stay.
fellow Rogue, welcome to the Rogue Room. Grab a drink, chill out. You've already been chilling out. You've been having a good old time here with us. Thank you so kindly for being here. Oh, there is a cat. Fuck ableists. Do I have anything else to say on ableism? Do I have anything else to say on ableism? Here comes your dumbass Japanese brain. What the fuck's ableist? Okay, so let's break this down first and foremost. What ableism is. Let me bring this forward a bit. What ableism explicitly is the point of a privileged person mistreating a disabled person, a differently abled person. Okay, whether that be physical disability, mental disability, any of those things. And the situation with ableism is that, like with racism, like with sexism and all of that, it's an institutional thing. There are many institutions in place that are explicitly ableist. For example, here's a good example that I have. Regarding my depression back when I was working a standard job, I had a very big social anxiety issue. I had a very, very big social anxiety issue. And I went to my doctor and I'm like, I need something. I need something to get rid of this anxiety. I'm waking up and I'm having heart palpitations. And I'm feeling like if I go to my job today, I'm just not going to be able to perform. And if I can't perform, they're going to punish me at work for whatever reason. They're going to go off at me. And all that. And you know what the situation was? With me sitting there at my doctor's office, talking to the GP about this. You know what he's telling me? And I'm expressing my frustration about work. Right. I'm expressing my frustration about work to my GP, and he's telling me explicitly in that moment, I'm going to put a stream marker here for this, that we need to get me back to a good mental health state so that I can get back to work. Right? I'd taken time off work because I was dealing with this anxiety thing, and anxiety itself is a disability. And here's this doctor, this GP, this general practitioner who you go to a medical personnel for the sake of, I am ill and I need treatment. And it's a factor of the way he treated it. He treated my disability in that moment as something to be brushed aside in favor of getting me back to work. And that's what institutional ableism is we don't want you to have a disability. If you have a disability, that's a bad thing. And thereby we need to take that disability away from you rather than offer you the same respect we would an able person. Someone who doesn't have anxiety. Someone who doesn't have some kind of an issue.
We hope you enjoy your stay.
Less of a mess. Welcome to the Rogue Room. Sit down, grab a drink, chill out. How you doing? Welcome in. That's the best way that I can explain, I think. The best way that I can explain ableism on a more of an institutional level is people who are disabled, people who are disabled are treated as lesser, generally speaking. Just in a general sense. Like if you, and again, I dealt with this quite severely personally quite a few years ago, internalized ableism. I would look at other disabled people. I'm autistic. I'm depressed. I am anxious. And yet I would look at other disabled people with other disabilities, and I do this with fucking body types now. I can't get away from it. I'll come back to chat messages in a moment because I want to get this point across. I would look at other disabled people who are missing an arm, people who are in a wheelchair or whatever, and I'm like, at least I'm not as bad as they are. At least I might be disabled. Or I'd look at somebody who had such a severe case of like paranoid psychosis or something, and they'd be freaking out in the middle of the food court while their carer is there trying to calm them down. And I'd say to myself internally, at least I'm not that person. And that's ableism. We're told that that's the way to think. We're told to look, and it's represented in our media, in our news, and all of these things. We see disabled people. They show us disabled people at their worst all the time. And as a result, ableism is treated as normal. People will look at a disabled person and they'll say, "Oh, look, did you see that freak out there?" That's a common thing. I've heard that so many times. Countless times. Not from teenagers, from full-grown adults who should know better. But they are taught that it's a reasonable thing to look at somebody who has a disability and treat it as something to be dismissed, and to treat that person as lesser, to treat that person as though they don't have a place in society. You know? It's much like with many other isms. Many other isms. They are normalized. They're explicitly normalized. That's what ableism is. Ableism is looking at someone who is disabled and seeing them as a lesser person. But anyway, shall we go back a little bit? So we've covered what ableism is to a point, I think. To a fair point. It was a mashup of those two songs, yeah. Sounds like the UK, sounds like Australia. How many genders are there? More than 3. Was that what Joe Biden said? At least 3. Joe Biden said at least 3, I believe it was. It's like there's at least 3. Realistically, there's as many as you want there to be. Is trans a disability? No, I don't think it is. Are you going to there? You're going to get yelled at for saying transgender, but fuck it. You know a transgender streamer named, I think you mentioned Mona G. I think you mentioned Mona G at one point. I believe I followed them. I don't think I've caught any of their content though. First depression diagnosis was circa 20 years ago, and the locum JP you were lumped on basically said, and I quote, "I don't believe in depression. What medication do you want to use, and how long do you want to be signed off for?" What the fuck? Yeah, I think I did check them out. You went and got a new GP that afternoon. I do believe I haven't seen that same GP who, I have not seen that same GP who gave me that "we got to get you back to work" diagnosis. Because that's what it is. You know, that's a whole part of the system, is we got to get disabled. Either disabled people need to be treated to the point where they are able to be good little worker bees, or disabled people can be safely discarded because they can't be good little worker bees. That's one of the big issues with what happened to Welcome to the Compound. I got rid of it. That's one of the big issues with ableism, is disabled people are not treated as though they can fill a role. Disabled people are treated as though, depending on the severity of the disability, it can rule them out from a lot of work. Obviously, I don't expect somebody in a wheelchair to be a bricklayer, you know, but somebody who's in a wheelchair can still have a job, can still have a place in society, or severely autistic people can still work. People with severe Down syndrome can still work. There was that guy who retired from working at McDonald's for 30 years. Had a solid job, was loved by his community, and eventually retired. You know? And realistically speaking, it's like that's the issue with disabled people. Or rather, the issue with the perception in society of disabled people is that if they can't fit any specific role that you can think of off the top of your head, then their existence is discarded by a lot of people. Seen as not worth keeping around. And I've been there. And I still feel it today, especially. I still feel as though there's no place in society for me, especially now. Especially as a, autistic, trans, depressed, anxious lesbian. I just keep collecting things that'll make society look at me and go, "Hey, you're fucked up." We're culturally told that this, that, and the other is wrong with you all the time. We're made to feel like we are just worse for things that are outside of our control, for example. And I think disability is one of the worst ones of these, because as a disabled person, yeah, you don't have any control over your gender or your sexuality identity or any of those sorts of things. But if you have a severe physical disability that's very, very visible, I feel like that's one of the worst ones. One of the worst things that can be just given to you and you have no control over it. That's got to be one of the worst kind of situations to be born in. Someone said robosexual is a gender. Well, as soon as you add sexual to it, it's not a gender. That's a different thing. You have a feeling once you're in the minority, it just keeps spiraling. Yeah, that feels like the case. It feels like the case. It compounds. Minority issues tend to compound on one another. What's the third? Gender trash. Jim Sterling is gender trash. That's how they define themselves. That's a gender. There you go. Naive response, neuter. It's more of a spectrum than hard definitions. Was that with regards to the gender thing? And can gender dysphoria exist alongside transgender? Well, yes. A lot of transgender people have dysphoria. I'm not quite sure what you mean. Like, what do you mean, can it exist alongside transgender? And transgenderism isn't really a word. Or I believe that's generally a frowned upon phrase. I can't recall, quite frankly. But generally speaking, people who are transgender are just transgender. We don't have transgenderism, so to speak. So yeah, you say people who are transgender. But yeah, generally speaking, gender dysphoria is a good indicator of if someone is trans, but at the same time, here's a strange one for you. There are people who can have gender dysphoria and be completely cis. They could be completely cisgender, have no interest in transitioning, can still experience dysphoria, and there is an opposing idea called gender euphoria, which I've experienced a few times, where you feel so very particularly in tune with yourself. So you feel so very particularly like, I feel like me today. You know? Very, very good feeling. Very overwhelmingly happy feeling towards your gender identity. Like, you look in the mirror and it's just like, I see the person who I'm supposed to be. Who everyone else is supposed to see. But yeah, Bender from Futurama, which specific example are we talking? Okay. In Dutch and German, they use 3 genders: male, female, and neuter. You doubt the third was neuter. Okay. Like, the best way about the gender thing, the best way to go about it at the moment, is you could be, we say stuff like, there's a common greeting among the queer community. Hi guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Anyone who doesn't fit into those first 2 typical gender norms. The first 2 most commonly accepted gender norms is non-binary. If you don't fit into male or female, or man or woman, whichever way you want to define those 2 primary genders, we'll call them the primary genders, then just say that person's non-binary, for example. They might go by they, them pronouns, they might go by other pronouns, what have you. There are actually scientifically defined genders based on a number of different factors. And I was recently featured on an episode of the Inconsolables podcast. I don't believe we talked much on gender there, though. There might have been a news story. It's been a while. It's been like over a month since I did that guest episode. But my friends run the Inconsolables podcast, and you should go listen to it. You should go give it a listen. Go give it a crack. It's pretty good. It's a gay old time. Lovely. Speaking of a gay old time, I think we're about done with this. I think we're about done with ableism for now. There's so much to talk about in this topic, though. Can I shrink this away? Because that's blinding me. I got a big white browser window. I feel like, and this is something that I believe, we'll stick with the ableism thing for a second. I'm looking at a big white website screen, right? And there was a discussion on Twitter or something about dark mode. There's a discussion about like using dark mode versus using light mode on all the different apps, Discord, Twitter, Facebook, etc. And I believe there was actually some discourse a little while back about how all the people making fun of others for using light mode, again, we can come back to this, were being pretty ableist towards people who use light mode due to something to do with their vision. I believe like using light mode made it easier for them to actually see what's on the screen. And using dark mode made it more difficult. So there's that thing. You know. Wait a minute, hang on a second. Let me try something here really quickly. There we go, that's how that works. Cool. So yeah. I forget exactly what the specific context was behind it though. Forget what the specific context was behind that particular set of circumstances. Yeah, that was a dumbass. We get them in occasionally. I'm not, I wish I knew what exactly it was about light mode. But I believe it was some kind of visual impairment that meant if you put the screen in dark mode, maybe the contrast was too high for them or something, and they couldn't see it properly, and thereby everybody making their jokes about, oh, if you use light mode, you're a casual or something, I don't know. They're being ableist towards people who have a certain type of visual disability. Supposedly. There's that whole thing. Can't believe people coming to chat and just being rude. I can imagine it. I'm not surprised at this point. I'm well aware of it. I just wish I had a mod in chat. I don't have a mod in chat right now. All my mods are going to sleep. Would have been great to not have to do that myself, but here we are. And you know what? Like, let's talk about something that's not quite related to disability, but it is kind of related to. We've briefly touched on gender and sexuality. Let's talk about identity for a moment. Ahem. Yes. Talk about identity. Because there's an article I heard here. And this is kind of relevant to my upcoming video in a way. Oh my god, can you get back over to the corner, please? I'm just going to try something. Remove topic 3. Alright, let me just do something. I'm going to go copy. And I'm going to go paste duplicate. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to move it. Okay, and then we go back to this one. No. Okay, so that's not the way you do it. You get rid of this. No, I'm not getting rid of that one. Getting rid of topic 3 too. I'm trying something here. Just hold on. Paste reference. Let's put that over there for the moment. Nope, that still didn't do it. Okay. I was sure there was a way to have one element, like if you put it on one scene, it'll... You paste as relevant. Yeah, I pasted it as a reference and it didn't work. I wonder if there's a way to... Maybe they changed it. Maybe they changed the way that... I don't know. Anywho. Just came here for a short work break. Now you're questioning everything about yourself. Well, get ready to question some more, because we're going to talk about identity. After we get rid of this massive header on the screen. What is identity? An identity is who or what a person or thing is. Your identity is how you define who you are. It is also how others define you. And these definitions are often not the same. This is Rogue School Time. This is by ellisjones.com.au. That's why we talk about self-esteem and probably don't always realize how important it is to health and well-being. How we define ourselves is a self-representation of our culture, interests, relationships, and efficacy in doing the things that matter to us. Our sense of identity and belonging is impacted by various factors, including our experiences, community, and our physical environment. Place. We have all heard of the herd mentality, and this will come up in my upcoming video. My latest video will be up soon. I expect in the next day or two. It's like 90% done. I need to do some final revision edits and a credit sequence, and my final video will be up on my, not my final video. My next video will be up on my YouTube channel within the next 2 days, fingers crossed. And then I can finally get started on the next one because I've been keen on starting the next one. But I am going back to video essays, and that's, quite frankly, a pretty big part of my pretty big part of my identity. I find that I really enjoy the video essay format, and I'm so disappointed with myself that I drifted away from it for so long. And I am keen to get back into it because it's a big creative effort on my part. And creative endeavors can be a huge part of our identities, and can be a huge part of securing exactly what it is about us. My friend Jeffrey is a guitarist. I know him as a guitarist. That's a huge part of his identity. He's a very good electric guitarist. That's a huge part of how I identify him. You know? And I want to be known as that person who does video essays like a motherfucker. And at the moment, a huge part of my identity is being a streamer, which is not necessarily a bad thing either. I like being able to identify myself as a streamer, as a content creator. Talking about identity reminds you of when you were in high school or middle school. Yeah, the whole difference between you know, high school, middle school, primary school. Like here in Australia, we have primary school, then high school, and high school is
Welcome
like from
to the
13.
Rogue Room. We
Your
hope
local
you
Pan.
enjoy your stay.
welcome to the Rogue Room. Hope you enjoy your stay. Please join us, grab a drink, sit down, chill out. Hope you're having a good one. But yeah, here in Australia, it's primary school and high school. And of course, schooling can have a huge impact on how your identity forms. You'll start to develop your hobbies and interests among different social groups. Discover your place in those social groups. And that can have a huge impact on how you define yourself. You missed welcome to the compound. It wasn't relevant to anything. That's the thing, I had an idea for the compound originally, and I never ended up panning it out, whereas with the Rogue Room, it's much more broad, much more vague. It doesn't require all of the effort I was going to expend before making the compound work. So I got rid of it. Anyway, we've all heard of the herd mentality. This too is an expression of identity and belonging, moving like schools of fish in shared reaction. There are many sayings that emphasize identity. Consider never forget where you came from, an expression of who you are relative to your ancestry and the place in which a legacy is rooted. I'm considering flipping my camera source. Let me just like this? Is how my camera source should be angled? No. Put me back down here. And let me rotate myself. Transform. Flip horizontal. Only problem now is like if I look over here, I'm not looking at chat anymore. But now I can look like I'm looking at the article, which is over here, over there. Say it one more time. The compound. Welcome to the compound. Anyway, in the 21st century, we are witnessing a challenge to notions of identity. For example, the increasing number of people who identify as gender non-binary. We are also seeing the rise of identity politics, of shaping political narrative or polemic that dog whistles or overtly states division based on race or religion. Long-standing or new, all these perspectives on identity emphasizes one irrefutable fact. Identity is very important to who we are and the decisions we make. What part of Australia? I'm from the East Coast. They're a good company. Putting aside the crime against singular nouns, this oft-heard phrase does something very interesting and important. Its interlocutor has assigned a human attribute to an inanimate construct, a company. This is a good company. In doing so, an identity beyond desks, office towers, and an army of workers is being assigned to the company. You could say it has been given a heart. It is why brand archetyping has proved to be a useful way to categorize companies, applying a personality framework that helps to define a company relative to its customers' needs and competitions. This is materially significant. Anyway, nearly 2/3 of consumers globally, 63%, prefer to buy goods and services from companies that stand for a shared purpose that reflects their personal values and beliefs. If we believe a company is good, we are more likely to buy its products, trust its services, and believe the information provided to us and take the advice of its representatives. And even if given the... where's this getting to? Oh, here we go. Here's a good one. What's this getting to? I was going to say this seems to be running off on a tangent, which is exactly what I do in my videos, but anywho. If we believe a company is good, yeah. And even if the advice being given to us by a person, we will assign responsibility to the company. The Banking Royal Commission provides a painful recent example of how companies that do a lot of good and employ a lot of ethical people will be branded evil for the behaviors of a few. The impact on revenue, profits, and market capitalization have been painful to witness and ultimately impact every Australian with superannuation that holds bank shares. We need not more evidence of the value of a good brand, but here is the most recent brand value report of the world's leading brands from long-term estimated brand finance. This is beyond reputation. Reputation is an expression of brand integrity and business performance. Ultimately, you can never protect the reputation of a brand that is pervasively seen as bad unless you address the fundamental attributes that are defining its identity. But here's this part. So where do you work? This is such a huge thing, right? I don't know, is this going to continue to go on about specifically business stuff? Because I thought this was relating more particularly to personal identity. I didn't give it much of a look when I brought it up before stream. But this question, so where do you work? That fact that we immediately shoot straight for where do you work as a core question. And the way that it's spelled out informs the way we socially look at the concept of identity, right? We immediately assume that every other person we meet is going to work at a standard 40-hour-a-week job. They go to a company, to a building, to a place, and they do the working. They do the job, whatever the job is. So we immediately assume that every person we meet is going to have that same kind of experience. What do you do? Where do you work? What other questions do we really ask about a person's identity? What other questions do we ask about who a person is? I dare say, coming back around to the gender and sexuality thing, asking those kinds of questions about a person's identity is typically pretty invasive. Although the asking pronouns thing. Hobbies, that's a good one. I mean, that's what I would hope for would be the first point of conversation. If you ask me where I work as the first point of conversation, I admit I get annoyed. I do get frustrated when that's the first thing you ask me, because my value as a person is immediately assigned to how good of a worker am I. You've immediately decided that you're going to judge me based on, am I productive enough? Think what a person does in their free time is more important and reflective of them than what they do for money. Exactly. Although there are many people out there whose entire identity is defined by the fact that they are so diligently working all the time. So, to that end, I've met a lot of very productive types. I've met a lot of people whose entire identity is built around the fact that they are a worker. They are a laborer, or they are an electrician, or they're this or that. And anything beyond what their job is. You ask them what they've been doing lately. Oh, I went and did this job at this job site. I had this guy call up to the office. And blah, blah, blah. They tell you a work story. Tell you all the work stories in the world. Workaholics, yeah. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of workaholics out there. And that itself becomes an identity. People who become so... They feel that because they are making a lot of money doing job X, Y, or Z, that is the most crucial part of anyone's identity. And that kind of thing becomes... That kind of thing can inform you of what kind of person they are, what kind of identity they have. That's imprinted on them and not innate. No, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's imprinted. It's educated. It's learned. It's in some ways not innate, but inherited. A lot of these people tend to be... They were born to workaholic parents. Time Players rebrand. Yeah, there's a whole... That's been
Welcome
rebranded
to
for
the
a while.
Rogue Room.
Bot.
We hope you enjoy your stay.
Bot 29304. Really? Is that an actual person who decided to name themselves Bot? What stories do I tell? What stories do I tell? That's an interesting question, actually. What stories do I tell? I don't tend to be much of a storyteller. Quite honestly. I tend to relay ideas. Hydrate, sure. Are you a person? You've been away for a while. That's alright. That's alright, Tone. Welcome back. How you doing? The shadows are your friend. But yeah, I tend to relay ideas. I don't tend to tell many stories about myself. I do occasionally, but if I do tell stories, they're of socialization. If I do tell of what's been happening, I'll say, oh, I went out with my friend recently. We went shopping. I bought some new head stuff. That's a thing I did recently. She bought me a vegan cheeseburger. But I suppose, if you become that kind of person, if you become that workaholic, realistically speaking, my dad, I dare say, is a workaholic. He used to be working at least 60 hours a week. And even then, as someone who was working 10-hour days, sometimes 12-hour days, not me, him, obviously. Even then, after going and visiting him, he wouldn't really tell us, occasionally, there'd be a work story. But the majority of the time, he still wouldn't be that heavily everything is work guy. Interestingly enough, he'd still tell us bits and pieces. You know. He's still... I'm referring to him in the past tense. My dad's not dead. For the record. But yeah, that's I've met numerous people who are definitely the workaholic. Every single story they tell is their work. And it lends to that idea, of course, like we've mentioned in the past. What was I going to say? I don't know. The brilliance of live streamed entertainment. Like we were saying, they are taught to be a workaholic from a young age. They are taught that a core part of their identity, core part of the persona they are going to formulate, that they're going to grow into, from as young as they're able to comprehend things. Look at the fact that, for example, little boys typically get plastic tool sets and cars and all that sort of stuff. You know, you start to inform their identity from a young age. You start to give them expectations. And of course, once they get to a certain age and they can't live up to those expectations, if that happens, identity crisis. Have I been to Japan? I have not. It'd be nice to go to Japan, though. Maybe one day. But yeah, there can be that thing of you grow up in a certain environment where the identities of those around you and the identity you want to assert to yourself clash. And then there's that issue of, do I become the black sheep? The black sheep, not the black sheep. The black sheep of the family. And my identity is now so drastically different from everybody else's that I've grown up around. Does that make me a bad person? You know, if all my friends and family fit a certain mold and I don't fit that mold, what does that say about me? I think we're getting... I don't know. There's a lot there. I don't think this article really covers what I was going for. But the "so where do you work" question asks a lot more than just those 5 words, I think. Their work system madness is next level. Have it easy in the West? Oh yeah. But there are still absolutely workaholics. But the difference between, say, workaholics in the West and people who are effectively put into very severe working conditions in the East is that the people who are workaholics in the West do so by option and end up with quite a significant amount of privilege as a result. Already having been given a lot of privilege to get to that point in the first place. So, yeah. There's that whole thing. Alright, I am about done with stream for the night, I think. It's been a good solid 3 hours. I might find somebody to harass real quick. Maybe I like misery. I've heard one thing, one pretty pertinent point on that subject about workaholics. Thing I fucking hate. Thing I always fucking hated hearing every single time. I would go to... No, what was I saying? I would not go to anything. That's not at all related to what I was about to say. One thing I always heard back when I worked at the supermarket. This was a core part of the entire supermarket's identity itself. You'd ask people how they were doing, and they would say to you, living the dream. Every single fucking time. I got sick of that phrase so fucking much. Living the dream. Which clearly means they fucking hated themselves. Because if I was in that position, and I was in that position of working in a supermarket.
Welcome to
I did
the
hate
Rogue
myself.
Room.
I didn't like
We
it.
hope you enjoy your stay.
Emmy, thank you for hanging out in the Rogue Room. Hope you enjoy your stay here. Grab a drink, sit down, chill out with us as we find somebody to raid real quick. No, I definitely had a lot of self-loathing working in that job. A lot of self-loathing. Because I felt like I was just, living the dream. Well, yeah, they were saying it ironically. They weren't serious. All the thing asking people what they like and they respond with brands of like Star Wars or Marvel's about is as bad as work being important to identity. No, I agree. I totally agree. Nothing wrong with liking them, but basing your identity off consumerism. Yeah, consumers. That's true too. I would like to be able to expand on my identity over this next year in many, many ways. Music, for example. You know, gonna try to practice that some more and actually get good at playing the guitar. I'm gonna pick up more books, start reading more, expand my political theory knowledge.
Welcome to the Rogue
philosophy.
Room. We hope you enjoy your stay.
Introvert Mo, welcome to the Rogue Room. Thank you so kindly for being here. Grab yourself a drink and sit down and chill out while I look to who we can raid tonight. Who can we raid tonight? This is always tricky because I'm a just chatting streamer. Who can I go to? Who can I harass?
Welcome
Mona
to the
G is
room.
online.
We hope you enjoy your stay.
And Fatman Zed. Is that how you say it? Thanks so kindly. You already know what I'm going to say. Sit down, grab a drink, chill out! Yeah, I think we'll go to Mona G. I have not played Undertale myself. But being that Mona G has been recommended to me, we're going to go and check her out. I don't believe I've been in her stream before. I don't know. I don't think so. I think I went and I checked out her channel while she was offline, and I haven't been in her stream. Anyway, say hi. I will, at some point tomorrow, hopefully try to come up with a raid message. Because I have not done that yet. Please stick around for the raid. If you would like to. I won't pressure you. No pressure. You can hang around for the raid or you can not. But I would prefer if you do, because it's nice. It's a nice thing to do. And I'll be live again tomorrow at 9 PM Australian Eastern Daylight Time, where we'll be talking about something else. I'll come up with some better topics. Because tonight's topics were good. We did have some good chats. But I think there's other things we can move on to. There was something I wanted to discuss. I did want to talk about sexuality a bit, but I don't know. We could probably move that to tomorrow, and maybe even talk about mental health as a content creator. We did touch on the mental health thing quite significantly tonight with the make ableists uncomfortable trending on Twitter tag thing. But see if we can find something else. See if we can find something new. Thank you so kindly. I hope you've enjoyed your stay tonight. I've enjoyed having you here. Be kind to yourselves and each other, and I will see you when I'm looking at you.
By the way, so far I'm doing a bad job of doing.